Hello, everyone. Welcome live to 3Wide TV and tonight's special broadcast of the Great Lake Cup Series here on 3Wide TV for a little bit of one-off action here from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway up in the northeast corner of the United States for tonight's Ramblin wreck from Georgia Tech 150. I'm Peter Short, and joining in the booth here is Drew Eisenman here tonight. And Drew, 150 laps around a very, very tricky New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tell us about this racetrack.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite, consistent Cup Series track. It's a big challenge. There's a kind of a wide variety of lines that you can use. It's kind of unusual. You would expect with this configuration a pretty typical oval configuration, almost like a bigger, wider Martinsville that guys would be hugging around the bottom. But like we're looking at right now, really towards the top third of that kind of bottom paved area, there's a little bit of progressive banking here at New Hampshire, and you can really kind of get that car to turn if you kind of ride between those two lanes, and that's what we're seeing right now on board with the number 52 of Max Williams. Also, tonight's sponsor is providing sponsorship for this race, so thanks to Max for that. But it's a really fun track, really challenging. The rear end is real lively going into the corner, getting out of the corner, especially with this cut package, right? High horsepower, low downforce package here at New Hampshire. So you can really make the car turn with the throttle. It's a lot of fun as a driver, but it's really demanding and pretty punishing of any types of mistakes.
Yeah, that is for sure. Currently, RJ Williams sitting atop the board here in the qualifying session. Another one of the Williams drivers in the second position, the number 99 of Spencer Dickinson. Josh Caudle in the number 31, sitting in third. Christopher Heller, one of the series administrators here, sitting in fourth, and in fifth currently Philip Bedford in the number 20 machine. As you can see, the number 52 of Max Williams still out there trying to turn some lap times. He will be our in-race reporter here tonight on 3Wide TV. Do want to apologize for all the technical gremlins that I think we have squared away with YouTube. But Drew, it's about time to get these cars gridded here for 150 laps here around this 1 mile racetrack. So let's see if we can get them all down there and lined up for tonight's action. I'm really looking forward to this race. There's the number 99 machine of Spencer Dickinson already out there on the grid. And Drew, why don't you go through the top 10 here to start tonight's race?
On pole, the number 21, RJ Williams, a two-time winner this year. He will lead the field to the green flag to his outside. Spencer Dickinson in that number 99. Starting in third, Josh Caudle in the 31. To his outside, Christopher Heller in that number 11. Philip Bedford will be starting in fifth, with Frederick Cremines starting in sixth. Dylan Wilson in seventh, and to his outside, Ashton Lawson. Matthew Dewar in that 44 will be rolling off in P9, with Jacob Bransky in the 03 starting to his outside in 10th.
Yeah, and then starting on the inside of row number 6, the number 18 of Lee Tankersley, with Shane Nicewanger to his outside, starting in P12. On row number 7, Elliot Henderson in the number 37. You see him right there with Scott Shearer right there to his outside in the number 83. On row number 8, the number 63 of Eric Kepf and Austin Moore in 16th. Row number 9, Gavin Fitzgerald, and number 14, Nathan Nixon in the 33, and Ty Akin, I believe that's how that's pronounced. They're starting in 19th, with William Barbagalada in the number 27 machine. Rounding out your top 20 there, Drew.
Yeah, Caleb DeSorda will be starting in 21st, to his outside, the 88 of Chris White. Matthew Daniels will be starting in 23rd, with Max Williams, as previously mentioned, tonight's sponsor of this race, will be starting in P24 in that 52 car. James Shiflett will be starting in P25 in the number 2, with Shane Posey to his outside in the 07. Hunter Matalunas will be starting in P27, with the 42 of Nick Martin starting to his outside in 28th. Brandon Barkuski will be starting in 29th. Jacob Manning in the 1 car starting at 30th, and rounding it, did not set a qualifying time, is that number 82 of Jeff Johnson.
Absolutely. Well, folks, all the drivers out there, we want to welcome you to 3Wide TV. Of course, a little bit of different channel here tonight, somewhat like what NASCAR used to do back in the day, Drew, back when you used to have to really flip through the TV guide to figure out what race NASCAR was going to be on tonight. This race brought to you, of course, by Max Williams, the Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech 150. What a great name for a race. I don't think I've heard as good of a name of that race in a very long time. So very cool to have Max Williams on board. And, of course, the Great Lakes Cup Series ready to get the green flag here for 150 miles, 150 laps here around the 1 mile racetrack. And RJ Williams gets us to the green flag. Already a good jump over the number 99 of Dickinson as they head off into turn number 1, Drew.
Yeah, RJ Williams, the only multi-time winner this year, our current points leader, is continuing his momentum that he has seen earlier on this season, and this is certainly a driver's track, and based on what we've seen from RJ, not a huge surprise here. It'll be interesting to see how much track position these guys can gain early on. This is a notoriously difficult place to pass. That blue car got into the wall. Who was that? I can't quite make out the number. I think that's the 49 car. What happened there, Peter?
Yeah, that's the 49 of Shane Neiswanger. We'll go back and see exactly what happened right here. Do apologize for that. There he is going off into the corner and just broke loose coming out. Got maybe cold tires, and that 49 got up into the wall. Great job by the rest of the field there to avoid any further collision, but he's definitely going to have quite a bit of damage as he's working his way now back there around the number 10 machine, back in the 21st position as they start to sort things out here in the first few laps.
Kind of what we talked about in the pre-race there, Peter. If you just get a little, and I mean just for a split second, you roll the throttle up a little too hard, you're going to break that back end loose coming out of these corners, especially on cold tires, which I believe is what we saw from that 49 car of Shane Neiswanger. Just a little too much throttle, a little too early, and there is no room here on exit. Once you get out of the groove, you're going to pop that outside wall. It's sometimes hard not to get into the wall if you're doing everything right, because you can just kind of carry so much speed, and that what little banking there is really falls out from under you. And unfortunately for that 49, that's going to be a little bit of damage for him. Luckily, this isn't a track where that's going to be, something that penalizes you as much as a place like Talladega or something like that. So hopefully that 49 will be able to get that thing kind of in the groove and back running again. But looking back towards the front of the field relatively, we are riding on board with the 48 car. That is Matthew Dewar riding behind that incredibly aggressive, quite frankly, awesome paint scheme. That 03 is that purple, blue, and white scheme is certainly stands out there. But Matthew Dewar, our 10th place driver coming into tonight in points. He is about 10 points to the good. It's fairly early on here in the Great Lakes Cup Series season, but points are always important, right? You should always kind of have a mindful eye on that. And Matthew Dewar doing what he needs to do to ensure that he's going to be able to pick up those points as needed. Back out front, RJ Williams already has a 1.5 second lead on the 99 and Spencer Dickinson. A pretty good start for this 21 thus far, Peter. Yeah, RJ Williams, like you mentioned, already a two-time winner this season, picking up wins at my favorite oval, Rockingham Speedway, and then back that up with another very slick racetrack win at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the C-Rail Camper 125 back in January. So RJ Williams on a tear already this season and already showing that he could be the man to beat as we are now halfway, Drew. For all the people at home watching who might not know much about this series, because of course this is the first time we're broadcasting them here on 3Y TV, they have just gotten past the halfway mark in the regular season before they start to get off into the rundown for the championship. Ooh, one driver a little bit further back in the pack having a little bit of issues there coming out of the corner. That might have been the number 28. I think it was right there, Frederick Cremens in that car. We'll see if we can go back and get a quick look, but I think he just broke loose coming out of turn number 4, Drew. Riding on board, or rather watching, yeah, it's kind of what we've been talking about. It's so easy to just for a split second get that car a little sideways, and once that thing starts to over-rotate here, you don't have banking to lean on. There's just nothing to kind of help you out. You're just going to be in for a wild ride, and then you've heated up those rear tires. And with the way that the iRacing tire model works, once those things are hot, it just gives it just wants to do it even more, right? It's going to keep wanting to spin up those rears and really continue to over-rotate, and you just kind of have to honestly underdrive it for a few laps and let those things cool down before you can kind of get back up to what you were doing before that. Now looking at the 17 car here, looking to get by. Oh, is the 17 going to be able to save it? Got a few guys sideways. I think, yeah, that's the 10 as well. Caution is out.
Yeah, we'll go back, man. We just barely caught that one. That one actually is an interesting one. We're going to ride on board here with the number 10 machine. Matthew Daniels going off into the corner. You see the contact in front of them there between the 27 and the 17. Matthew Daniels also then got loose. I think he was reacting there, Drew, to what he saw in front of him. And unfortunately, just like that, we have our first caution flag of the night. We'll go back and get a look at this one. Look at the 17 and the 27. They make that little bit of contact there, and that is when you start to see them with some Tokyo drift, and unfortunately for the number 10 machine, kind of nowhere to go but up into the wall. And hopefully he's able to get that damage repaired on that race car. You see him right there with a very crinkled in front nose. I'm sure he'll be on pit road coming down to his pit crew. But Drew, one thing about this series here tonight is they do have 3 sets of tires in the pits. So we're going to see a couple of different strategies, I'm sure, play out through the night with drivers taking tires, drivers not taking tires, so on and so forth. But this is a racetrack where tires usually do matter. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly when drivers elect to come down and take them. But as of right now, none of your leaders headed down pit road. Folks, we want to check out who is in the chat here tonight on this Saturday night. If you're in the chat, make sure you make yourself heard. Let us know who you are rooting on here tonight. So far, the biggest mover in the race is the number 17 machine. At least he was before that very long slide that we just saw just a little bit ago. There he is right there on the center of your screen. That, of course, is driven by Hunter Madalenas. Started back in 27th all the way up to the 18th position as of right now. But Drew, why don't we see if we can go down to the number 52 machine and see if we can check in currently on the man who is our in-race reporter and see exactly how his truck is driving here tonight. Just have to see if we can drag him up here into the 3-wide TV booth. Hey, Max, sorry to get you in here with a hot mic. Peter Short here in the 3-wide TV booth. You're our in-race reporter here tonight. Of course, it is the Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech 150 here tonight. How's that machine driving out there on the racetrack?
Very loose so far, but I'm sure you'd hear the same thing from everybody else. But we're just trying to be careful right now, save the tires a little bit.
Very quickly, because I see that you are about to go back to green. What's your strategy to get to the front here tonight?
Like I said, just save the tires real easy. The cars are very slippery, especially in 3 and 4. So we want to stay out of some wrecks. They wrecked right in front of me on that first one there. So just stay out of trouble, save the tires, and be there at the end. Take care of our stuff.
All right. Well, Max, just so I move you back to the right channel, what channel were you in? Was it R&R Motorsports?
That is correct.
All right, good deal. Well, we'll move him back to his crew and let him get back to it because the green flag is going to be dropping here once again very shortly because the pace car lights are off here, Drew. And, you heard it right there. Saving tires, even though they have 3 sets on pit road, these drivers already thinking about possibly having some long green flag runs and saving those tires. Pace car headed down pit road. Green flag back in the air. RJ Williams, once again, a great jump on that number 21 machine, Drew.
An exceptional restart for that 21, but I wanted to give Hunter Madalenas a kind of a shout out there in that 17. That was a heck of a job saving that car for him. I thought for sure he was going to go around, and in fact, it was one of those guys where you kind of get caught out looking at the guy that's wrecking, and sometimes you kind of screw up what you're doing. And I think that's what you mentioned. That's what we saw from that 10 car. Unfortunately, he kind of by trying to get away from that incident, kind of got himself involved in it, which is unfortunate. But that's what we heard from Max Williams. I think is pretty what we expected here at New Hampshire. Just looking at the track temp and ambient temp right now, is our second place 99 just got really out of shape. I know we're not quite looking at that, but it just shows how slippery it is. So the track temp is 122 here, Peter. That is pretty high, and explains why these guys are really experiencing that kind of that driving situation for these cars. It's going to be really, really slippery when that track temp is up in the 120s like that. I don't believe. Yeah, the time sim time set is for May, mid-May. So that explains why it's a little bit warmer than it probably would be absolutely freezing. Here is, we got a little bit of a spinner further back on the backstretch. He spun towards the infield, though. Yeah, I believe that's the 2 car there. I don't know if he got the inside wall. We'll get that queued up for you guys. Yep, he popped it with his left side. A pretty flush hit for that too. But sometimes when you think you hit it pretty flush and you might save the car, it actually can do a lot more mechanical damage. You see, just at the last second, he gets it kind of squared, but that is some pretty severe left side damage for that too. We'll see if he is able to get that thing to continue to roll out there. But it's just so tricky as the 2 is now way kind of up in the marbles, which isn't really going to help his loose situation. But back up front, the 21 not really pulling away like he did this last time, Peter. Only about a half a second lead on that 99.
Yeah, we have a side-by-side battle brewing right now for the 3rd position between the number 20 and the number 30. Of course, the 20 driven there by Bedford on the inside groove, trying to pick up that spot from the number 39 of Cottle, but right now just not able to make that pass. And Drew, this is one of those racetrack. It has that little lip down there on the inside groove that I like to say is that very inside line here at New Hampshire, and it makes for a really difficult pass because there's just not a lot of speed down there, and typically when you're a lane or so up, that tends to be the faster way around the racetrack. So this racetrack can be very frustrating for drivers in the position right now of Bedford in the number 20 Home Depot machine, just because it is so difficult to get that run up off the corner, and they continue to run side by side. It definitely puts some good action on for the drivers and the spectators back at home. And speaking of that, we got Russ Aiken in the chat, as well as Tristan Maher saying crazy saves going on there. Yeah, that was definitely a little bit of Tokyo Drift here on 3 Wide TV. But hopefully everyone at home is enjoying this action as we work lap number 20 of the 150 scheduled here tonight. Still this battle side-by-side rages on, but a little bit of a wiggle out the back of the number 31. That's going to open up the door for Dylan Wilson, in that Chevrolet to do battle now with the 31. They're going to be side-by-side here now through 3 and 4, but for now, Bedford clear for 3rd.
Oh, and the 31, I think, caught the wall there, Peter, a little bit, as, that outside lane can be just so tricky. So we'll cue that replay up for you guys. But, yeah, he just gets a little out of the groove. I don't know if he actually got the wall. If he did, it wasn't much, but he just lost so much momentum getting out of the throttle. Luckily, with these Cup cars in this short track package, you're not costing yourself a ton of momentum like you would be at some of the intermediate tracks, but that certainly cost that 31 a position or two as he got really out of the groove. Though we mentioned the groove, and this is one track that I have experienced that really this groove can move around as you start to get rubber laid into it. There have been races where I have been darn near up to the outside wall as that lane moves around, but early on in this race, we're going to see those guys running exactly where they are now, but that could change as this rubber gets laid down and as that grip dynamic changes, as we have quite a bit of a battle here with that 31 car that almost got into the wall, the 28 car, and I believe that is the 28 car of Frederick Cremines there battling it up. But you can see how quickly that you can kind of compromise your run on the straightaway, and battles can kind of be really intense and all of a sudden kind of resolve themselves, because it's just such a challenge to consistently race side by side here and one driver not just make a tiny slip, because this is an incredibly challenging track for these guys out there, and with the track temp that is now climbing, we've gained a degree since the last time I looked at it, up to 123 track temp. This is going to be a heck of a challenge for these guys just to kind of keep running their own race, let alone racing side by side. As man, that 28 got a little bit out of the groove there, but now looking at the 3 and the 25 cars, this is a battle for 20th position. But no matter where they are on the track, these guys are going to battle the heck out of each other trying to maintain their track position. As the 3, you can see just a little out of the groove, and he'll lose some track position. But up in front of these guys, up here in about the 15 to 18 range, there's a heck of a battle brewing between, I believe that is the 91 and the 83 cars. Been racing side by side for quite a few laps now. Almost kind of a truly train, right? A bunch of drivers seemingly being held up by somebody in front of them. But that allows guys to kind of get runs and stuff on each other and really battle it out. You see that car kind of way back there, that bright green and blue car get really loose. Now merging back onto the track here, Pete.
Yeah, we'll queue up a replay of that number 33 machine. That's Nathan Nixon in that car, getting, like you said, Drew, all up out of shape. Luckily, able to save it. He's still off the pace right now here, coming down the front stretch. Maybe had another moment, and Drew, that's kind of like what you mentioned a little while ago, that sometimes you can overheat the rear tires. Meanwhile, folks, we do have the number 82 of Jeff Johnson. He was one of the drivers, I believe, the only driver not to take time, I believe, at the start of the race. He's now out there on the racetrack, but he's being scored 8 laps down, so he's going to need quite a few lucky dogs to get back on to the lead lap. Let's jump back up to the front of the field. There is the number 21 of RJ Williams continuing to lead, now up to about a second lead over the 99 of Spencer Dickinson. So far, RJ Williams has led all 26 laps here tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway as he comes around to lead his 27th mile around this racetrack. It's a 1-to-1 with the miles to laps here. This is a 1 mile racetrack. Trying to do a Jeff Burton here when he led every single lap back in the day. And that one race that they ran restrictor plates back at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, I don't think you can come to New Hampshire Motor Speedway without mentioning Jeff Burton and that wire-to-wire win that he had back in the day, all 300 laps when literally no one could pass in that race. And Jeff Burton, I'm sure he will be very fond of that memory, but RJ Williams trying to replicate that here tonight and pick up his 3rd win on the season. In fact, the only driver to go to victory lane more than once on the season. But folks, we do have a driver on the move. That's the 03 right here. That's Jacob Bransky, and we do have a little bit of news about Jacob Bransky. He joined Brandon Barkuski Incorporated over the past week or so, and that 03 machine, really great looking scheme on that ride, Drew. You mentioned it earlier, very unique and bright and vibrant. You can't miss it, but making moves not only outside the racetrack, but on the racetrack here, now up into the 5th position.
It's certainly a scheme that stands out. Yeah, just kind of going back to the Jeff Burton dominating win. It's crazy. They ran restrictor plates here at New Hampshire for that race. I believe in 98 it was, or 2000. I apologize, in 2000 because of safety concerns, because this track has pretty severe corner entries. If you blew a right front, you're going to hit that outside wall pretty hard, and there were some unfortunate deaths in practice at that point, but then they ran restrictor plates, which resulted in nobody being able to pass. The low horsepower race, probably the original low horsepower race, and we saw what kind of racing that provided, but we're glad to have this high horsepower package here today, which really presents a challenge for these drivers as we're looking at that 99 car, that 2nd place runner of Spencer Dickinson, who is now kind of being caught a little bit by that 20 of Philip Bedford, as those guys are just kind of losing contact with our leader, the 21 of RJ Williams. They're about 1.8 to 2 seconds behind RJ right now, and that 99 just looks like he's not able to really keep that car down there like that 20 is able to right now. Maybe burned up his stuff just a little bit as that yellow car in front of them is lap traffic. But it's just so hard. You could be, substantially quicker, probably a 10th or 2 quicker than the guy in front of you consistently, and it's going to be really, really hard to get by him here in New Hampshire because there's really an optimal line, and anything other than that line, you're kind of compromising your apex speed or your center off speed, as you saw just lapping that lap car. Really compromised what the 20 was kind of able to do through the corner, and he lost a little bit of apex speed and then lost a couple car lengths there to our 2nd place runner. This is such a line-sensitive track that it's a lot of fun behind the wheel, but it doesn't always allow for really hard side-by-side racing because it's almost like a flat Darlington. Really, you're driving the track, not your competitors as much.
Yeah, that is for sure. This racetrack is one of those where you got to keep your car going straight. We've already seen a couple of cars have some significant wiggles, including this number 99 of Spencer Dickinson, as he did not get a good launch out of turn number 2. the 20 there, Bedford just poking his nose to the inside of that Aflac number 99, going off into turn number 3, just saying, hey, buddy, I'm here, and if you have another little slip-up like that, I want to take that position away from you, as Dickinson here really losing time to the number 21 of R.J. Williams. In fact, that gap up ahead, last time by, R.J. Williams drew a half second faster than Spencer Dickinson, and now here comes Bedford. Bedford has had enough. He's got a launch coming out of the corner, and Bedford in that number 20 machine, I expect him to be able to take this position. How hard will the number 99 fight? It looks like he's going to put up a pretty decent fight as of right now, as Bedford gets a little bit sideways coming out of turn number 4 as they head to the line. The 99 of Dickinson throwing some sparks off the right-hand side of his car. This is some good racing here. Battle for second right now, and you can start to see cars behind starting to line up now. That is, of course, the 84 right there, Wilson, and looks like Bedford going to make the pass and open up the door for Wilson to get underneath the number 99 of Dickinson. And don't look too far back, because the 03 of Bransky is now closing in on the back of Dickinson. Bransky started 10th, now up to 5th.
Yeah, that 99 just starting to struggle just a little bit. They're losing quite a bit of time to RJ. Man, he pulled about 2 seconds in that amount of time that those guys are racing each other. That's pretty incredible. That was only about 3-4 laps in 2 seconds. It's just when you're racing that hard, that's what can happen. As now looking back at this 91 car of Austin Moore, he is in 17th position, racing that number 1 car of Jacob Manning. As you can see, it's just so hard to get a launch off on the bottom, and I believe that is the 71 car that got really, really loose coming out of turn 2 right there, and now looks like he's going to lose a couple positions as we'll get that replay queued up for you guys. So yeah, you see, just as that banking starts to fade away and you're really trying to pick up that throttle, it's just so easy, just for a split second, to have that rear get out from under you, and then your momentum down the straightaway is compromised, and that cost him at 1 position and allowed to that 25 car, and allowed, as the 24 gets dead sideways as well on the backstretch. Or 25, my apologies, not 24. It has the old Jeff Gordon scheme on the number 25. There we go. He got dead sideways there on the backstretch, as he had just gotten by that 71, and we'll cue that replay up for you as well. And you can see this 25 again, right at that same point, right when you're really starting to apply the throttle, just super sideways, almost some smoke coming out from under that 25, and that will cost him 3 positions and kind of reset where that 71 was running.
Yeah, that is for sure. Meanwhile, that 21 of Williams now up to a 4.2 second lead. He is putting on a whooping on the field as of right now here, as we close in on the 1/3 race distance. And for all you folks wondering back at home, what does the fuel window look like here tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway? Well, because they run a 75% tank, Drew, we're getting word that it's 63 to 67 laps. So that means that if we go caution-free from here, we'll know that basically everyone in the field will have to make at least 2 pit stops. And that number 21 machine of Williams here as of right now in good position to be very clean onto pit road, because he doesn't have anyone around him. There is Philip Bedford. But Drew, one thing I'm wondering, we talked about it earlier, different strategies right now. If you know that you have to make 2 pit stops, do you want to run it out as a caution flag comes out? So that's going to change that. Of course, commentators curse. That is always a thing here on 3 Wide TV. As you know what, folks, we we tend to have a lot of commentators' curses on this channel. There's the 07 of Shane Posey in the mellow yellow Toyota Camry. Just got loose coming out of turn number 4. That is heavy contact with the inside wall. No fast repairs in this series. So that 07 will be interesting to see if he can get that car fixed and back out there on the racetrack. But let's see if we can watch this from the roof cam here, Drew, and it just snaps on him.
Yeah, it's very, very late, and once that thing starts to hook to the inside, your momentum's not going to carry you forward like it would if your car broke loose into the corner, right? Luckily, physics just tend to save you if that happens mid-corner. But when that happens that late on exit, it's just going to propel you into that inside wall. And basically, as we're on board right about here, there's nothing that 07 can do at that point. Probably the best thing he could do is crank the wheel as far right as possible and just floor it and hope to just start flick it back sideways towards the outside. But I mean, he's probably going to hit the outside wall at that point too. There's just not a lot that 07 is going to be able to do, as the rest of our field is on pit road right now. Race leader, second, third, fourth, basically everybody else. As you mentioned, this is a pretty optimal time for them, as pit stops were approaching. The 21, a great pit stop, not a great pit stop by that 99, as our race leader will maintain that race lead. Not too much movement inside the top 5, but I believe that 99 lost a position or two there. But great stop by RJ Williams in that number 21.
Yeah, absolutely. That, sometimes getting on pit road first, having that first pit box is a pretty big advantage. And therefore, the 21, he holds station as the race leader and continues to lead the race. Like I mentioned, has so far led every single lap here tonight. No driver elected to stay out to lead a lap or anything like that. So that is going to be beneficial for him. Meanwhile, I think you just saw the number 82 machine there. He is, that being Jeff Johnson, and he is getting one of his laps back. And we'll see if he gets any more. In fact, he might actually be getting waved around the pace car here, Drew. Possibly some early race issues, and that might be the admins giving him kind of the benefit of the doubt for possibly missing the start of the race. Maybe there was connection issues or something like that. We fought connection issues here on 3 Wide TV with YouTube, but of course that is not related to iRacing. But at least that number 82 getting some laps back, now being scored just 6 laps down. I think he was 8 a while ago, so hopefully we can get all that sorted out. But there is the number 21 machine, RJ Williams, continuing to hold station. And Drew, let's see what's going on back there with the number 52 machine of Max Williams, now that he has some laps in and under his belt. And let's see if we can get him up here in the booth. Drew, take it away.
Here we go, Max Williams in that 52. Well, you mentioned that we have some loose conditions out there. We see that track temp increasing. Is it getting more loose, about the same? How's that car handling?
It's getting a little looser, definitely, as the tires start to go off too. I didn't know the track temp was going up because I don't have the relative up. But yeah, it's definitely getting a little loose out there. I can't really put the power down on it too, as much as I wanted to. But it's, some guys have spun in front of me, but we saved our stuff on that last one, made up a couple spots. So it was nice. It was a good run on that one.
All right, in tire strategy, right? Having a tire limit, such an important deal. I believe this is your first set that you've thrown on there. How much does that play into whether you need to stop or not, or kind of gamble on trying to short pit? What's your kind of mindset with this tire strategy as you're about to go back green?
It's definitely something we need to monitor because we got over 100 laps in 2 sets, so we'll have to monitor that close and see what we got going on there.
All right,
make sure we save the set for the end. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, kind of had to cut that one a little bit short, but the good news is that we'll go back green. In fact, let's ride on board with the number 52 machine as the green flag waves. Looks like everyone getting maybe a little bit squirrely there as they start to put the power down, which just speaks to the point that these cars are really, really loose as we go off. And this is a good look off the nose of the number 52 machine and how chaotic it can be further back in the pack as we close in on the 1/3 race distance. But so far, starting to get things all sorted out as you see the number 91 there just on the left-hand side of the screen. That is Austin Moore holding on to the 16th position right now. But back up at the front of the field, the 21 machine is going to scoot away once again, get nice and clean, but then behind him, that's where all the action is right now, as they're really side by side. At least they were side by side until they sorted things out in turn number 1 and 2.
Yeah, I almost saw 3 wide there on this restart, Peter, but luckily guys, a little wise to that and thought better of it. And this is fairly typical for New Hampshire. More of a driver's track than a spectator's track. It's a lot of fun. It can produce some great racing, especially later in runs when fuel mileage can become a big deal as well here. Because of how much on and off throttle time that there is, you can save quite a bit of fuel. You can really save tires. The dynamic can really change, as we almost had a battle for second there. That 03 looking to make a move on our second place driver, that number 20 of Philip Bedford, as Jacob Bransky showing some good pace here as of late, as he is really putting the pressure on. And that number 99 not able to really recover as he was our second place driver for the first 40 laps or so. And that number 99 now just struggling a little bit as that 03 really applying pressure. Less than a car length between those two drivers, but you really got to set up that pass here in New Hampshire. I really like what this 03 is doing. Getting up into a little bit higher through the early part of the corner in 3 and then cutting that thing back down into 4, trying to get on that throttle a little bit more and kind of square that corner up. When you square the corner up, you're sacrificing apex speed, but you're getting on the throttle a little bit more, and you're giving yourself an opportunity to get a run into the corner, but a caution flag is out.
Caution flag is out. We'll see if we can figure out what went down to bring out this one. We do have a car around here on the front stretch, and I do believe, let's see if we can see what happened here on board with the number 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. And I think that's the number 18 machine went around in front of him, and you see the 14 there reacting. We'll see if that was indeed the number 18. We'll get another look at it, of course, here on 3 Wide TV on the replay. But there is the number 18 of Lee Tankersley, and there was contact there with the number, was that the number 2 machine? And the 25 of Brandon Barkuski coming in there late, getting involved, nothing of his own doing. That, man, I think we're going to have to go back. I think that was James Shiflett in the number 2 who might have made a little bit of contact with the number 18. We'll keep our eyes on this. And going through the corner, did the number 2 get loose? He made contact with the wall, then came down at the 18. And unfortunately, the 18 was the one who got the bad end of the stick, as well as the number 25 there of Barkuski.
That's a lot of damage to that 25. Whenever you have a body panel missing as a result of contact, it's gonna be a long day. And you can just see, the 14 actually got pretty loose there as well. But then when that 18 just comes back up as a result of hitting that inside wall so hard, there's just nothing that anyone can really do. You're trying to predict where that guy's going, but it's so hard to know what these iRacing physics are going to do as far as where they're going to put cars. And unfortunately, that 25 of Brandon Barkuski, he's the one that really paid the price for that, and kind of the guy that instigated that whole deal kind of goes scot-free. It's everybody else that kind of paid the price.
Yeah, there is that number 2 mobile who made that contact with the outside wall that led to the domino effect that unfortunately led to a couple of tore-up race cars and drew no fast repairs here in the series. So they're going to have to wait and see how much damage their crews can repair, and if they can repair enough, then get back out there on the racetrack and be fairly competitive. But if they are unable to, that could be day done. Meanwhile, the number 82 machine of Jeff Johnson continues to get his laps back. He is one happy camper right now as he flashes by the pace car once again. He is now just being scored 3 laps down, so definitely getting all the waiver rounds as possible here under the cautions, and hopefully we can get him on the lead lap before this race is all said and done in that Toyota Camry. Very reminiscent of what Martin Truex, I believe, used to run in the auto owner's insurance machine. But great to have him as he goes way up the racetrack, running a little bit of, maybe he's just showing off for the cameras in that number 82 machine. I don't know, but we definitely got a good look at that 82 as he flashed on by. But as of right now, we are under caution here tonight. If you're just now joining us here on 3Y TV, we've just gotten over the 1/3 race distance. We've had 3 cautions for 10 laps here in the opening third of the race. As you look back out of our race leader, the number 21 of RJ Williams, not only has he led every single lap, 0 lead changes, he also has the fastest lap of the race so far. RJ really on a tear here tonight, trying to back up his wins at Rockingham and Atlanta. And Drew, one thing about Rockingham, Atlanta, and here at New Hampshire, they're all very, very slippery racetracks where you really have to manage the rear tires. I mean, Rockingham, one of the oldest racing surfaces in all of iRacing. Then you have at least one of the most abrasive in all of iRacing. Then you have Atlanta Motor Speedway, that is the oldest asphalt that NASCAR races on nowadays. And then you have this racetrack where you really have to get those rear tires hooked up to launch the car out of the corner. So I'm wondering if RJ is kind of a master of saving those rear tires.
Yeah, he started on the pole at Pocono, which is another kind of driver's track. So if you wanted to, bring up a few tracks and, what's a good driver going to do at those tracks? Those are some of the ones that I would point out. Atlanta is certainly one of them. Rockingham is definitely a driver's track. Pocono, kind of a different skill set, but definitely a challenge as well. I think Rockingham and New Hampshire all about precision of kind of lane choice and being able to control the rear of the car as the 21 gets another great restart. If I'm not quite sure if this league has a lane change rule, but if they do, that 21 was real close to violating it as he kind of made a move to the outside before he crossed the start-finish line, and we'll see if anything comes of that. I know a lot of leagues don't have that, but some do, and we shall see. I did not remember reading that when I read the rule book earlier, but we'll find out as that 03 now looking to maintain his third position as he is now holding off that number 84 of Dylan Wilson, my apologies, to his outside. He is in that number. Yeah, you can't miss the 03. It's the pink, white, and blue scheme right there is 84. Maybe just a little bit out of the groove, though. That 99 now has a challenge to his outside in that 24 as well, as that 99 had such a strong start, put a little bit of pressure on RJ. Maybe the only guy we've seen able to get to the bumper of that 21 early on in the run, but just since then not able to mount that challenge, as a little loose there. Now looking back at the number 91 of Austin Moore in 15th position, as this is typically kind of where the Hornet's Nest tends to be at these tracks. In the middle is, we have a guy dead sideways. I think that was the number 52 behind him in 1 and 2. Yes, it was. He got dead sideways through 3 and 4, was throwing smoke out of that number 52, as we'll get that replay queued up for you. He is side by side with the 33 car to his outside going into turn 1. What happens to the 52? A little bit of help. Yeah, huge help. What a save by that number 52. That was incredible, Peter. He was probably 40, 45 degrees sideways there.
Yeah, that is definitely worth another look. That is for sure. Here we go, on board with the number 52 going off into the corner, and I'll get rid of that bar there on the left-hand side. Look at that. That's full lock, folks. There is nothing more left in the wheel for that number 52. He spun it completely, like 450 degrees one way to get that car straightened up. That is some stellar driving. And Max Williams, unfortunately, he's going to fall back to the 23rd position. There he is. But the good news, Drew, is he lives to fight another day.
Car's in one piece, and when I saw that happen, I was like, oh boy, here we go, another caution. But what a job is, this 17 gets into the inside wall.
You just had to mention it, didn't you?
Yeah, I know. I swear, the last couple weeks that I've been commentating, it's like I'm just trying to cause cautions by saying what I'm saying, and it's been fairly effective. So that number 17 gets dead sideways into the inside wall. Luckily on that backstretch, there's that grassy area, and if you spin off of the racetrack, typically in iRacing, not always the case, but it doesn't throw a caution. If that were to happen on the front stretch, that absolutely would have been a caution, which is, I think a lot of these drivers up front don't want to caution. A lot of guys towards the back probably do, especially at this point. It would provide an interesting kind of shift in strategy. But what we did miss while watching all that stuff is the number 03 car. He's up to second position, getting by Philip Bedford in that 20. And that 30's been showing quite a bit of pace, maybe getting up here and challenging the number 21.
Yeah, and Bransky started this race, folks, in the 10th position. Now he is up into second spot, so he is one of the bigger movers of the race so far. The biggest mover in the race is Hunter Madalenas in the number 17 machine. In fact, if you're looking at the scoring pylon on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see that Madalenas is being scored in the number 4 car, but when you see him actually on the racetrack, he is driving the number 17. That is actually due to a recent change. He recently accepted a ride with Elliott Henderson Racing after the Great Lakes Truck Race last Tuesday, and he will now be in the number 17 machine here going forward. So I'm sure the league will sort out that number situation, but you're right on board with the 03 of Bransky, who is recently joined Brandon Barkuski Incorporated, and already with a spectacular showing here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway as he works his way through the corner. And really, we haven't seen anyone challenge the 21 all race long until that 03 now behind him, just 2/10 back, Drew.
We'll see how long this can last. We've seen that RJ can really extend that as the run goes on, and maybe this 03 has a bit of a burst of speed right here. It'll be interesting to see how this continues to develop, because you're certainly correct. He's only about a car length behind that number 21 at this point, and this is as close as we've seen another driver to RJ all race long. That 03 running a great line, wide entry, cutting it down late in the corner. That's kind of that almost MotoGP line where those guys really square off corners to try to get that throttle back open as much as possible, especially here in New Hampshire. When you're really, really loose off, what you want to do is late exit, get as little wheel in the car as possible, take as much wheel out of the car as possible, and by squaring that corner off like that, right, by letting that car go really wide on entry, cutting it down, and then really having a straight drive off, you're giving your rear tires as much of a chance as possible to not spin up and not overheat and keep that car underneath you. That's a really great line for the long run, and it's really working for that 03. As we mentioned, this is the only driver that we've seen get up there and compete with RJ, and now you kind of see maybe that number 21 starting to mirror that just a little bit. It's so hard to really square the Hampshire. If you can get really up near the wall when that track starts to clear up, that's a possibility. We'll see if that develops. I've certainly been in races where, I mean, you're literally almost against the wall trying to get that thing to rotate and get on the throttle on exit. But right now, these guys are running a pretty traditional line, just a little bit wider on entry, and you see about a half a car width above, and then you see him cut just a little bit lower here through 3 and 4, and that's allowing him to now have just a little bit less wheel in that car on exit and really get in that throttle hard. Relative to the 21, is the 21 maybe got in that wall a little bit. We saw some sparks fly up there from that number 21. But some great racing up here for this race lead, as these guys, even with running pretty close to each other, they've scooted away from our third place driver, now about 1.5 seconds than 03 is in front of our third place driver, Philip Bedford.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the number 20, the number 84, and possibly even the number 99, who might have used up too much of his tires under that first run, might have learned something and said, you know what, we just got to run this race just a little bit differently. We don't want to use up our tires for the long run, because here we are, Drew. I'm kind of looking right now. It's been 25 laps since the leaders were on pit road. I would expect to see maybe in another 20 or so laps, if we can stay caution free, that we'll start to see maybe some comers and goers, drivers saving their tires better than others and that type of thing. But perhaps that's what the 20, the 84, and the 99 are thinking of. Meanwhile, these front two, we saw the 21 of Williams stellar saving his tires under that first long green flag run. But as I say that, folks, I had to jinx it as well, because caution flag has come out here. And now we got to figure out what all went down to bring out this caution flag, Drew. Let's see if we can get some eyes in the sky to see if we can figure out what went down. And I think we figured it out. The 25 machine of Barkuski and the 14 of Fitzgerald going around in that number 14 machine.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if there was contact. There might have been some net code, but there wasn't. Well, to be fair, the 24's or 25's hitbox is probably a little off, considering he doesn't have a front bumper. So it might look like net code, but it just might be the hitbox is a little off. Because you can see that 24 missing that front bumper, but that front bumper shape is still kind of able to inflict its physics upon that 14. So maybe that's what happened. It's kind of hard to tell. Maybe the 14 just got loose by himself. It's going to be really hard to determine whether that was the case or not. We'll try to get maybe one more look at it as the 14's going to get by here. Does the 14 over rotate before? Yeah, it's hard to tell. If the 25 did get into him at all, I think the 14 was already sliding around. I think that the 25 just might have helped finish the job, but ultimately the 14's the one that got dead sideways. But there we go, a caution, no real implications for our leaders other than pit strategy. This is not that long from the last pit stop these guys made, but we basically see almost everybody coming down pit road, certainly all of our leaders. And this is always a variable too, because iRacing can kind of randomly decide, hey, you get a bad pit stop this time, and it can kind of shake up where you're running. We will see if that's the case this time, as RJ Williams, Bedford, the 03 of Jacob Bransky, all those guys on pit road, now jacking up the left sides, getting those left side tires changed. A great stop by the 03. Is he going to be able to beat that number 21? I can't quite tell. We'll be able to see. I think he does. I think the 03 is going to take the race lead, and for the first time, potentially, that number 21 not going to be our race leader, as we are queuing up a replay. Is that what we're going to be looking at here, Peter?
Well, there was a group of drivers who elected to stay out. In fact, Philip Bedford will be the one who will assume the race lead. But I wanted to see, there was almost contact between the 21 and the 03 coming off there. Ooh, man. I don't know. I guess the 21, of course, in iRacing, you can actually kind of ghost through a car. And if the 21 didn't ghost through the 03, he would have made contact. But it looks like iRacing has sorted it out and actually is going to score the 21 in front of the 03. So RJ Williams going to be in 6th. But for the first time tonight, we do have a new race leader because it is the number 20, Philip Bedford, who elected to stay out in his Home Depot Chevy Camaro. And let's see if possibly we can get a quick word with the number 20 of Phil Bedford and see exactly what he's thinking in that number 20 machine. Phil Bedford, Peter Short here in the 3 Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. I'll tell you what, you're out there going a little bit off strategy. What's your thoughts there here as we close in on the halfway mark?
We have halfway to go, and we only have 2 sets left. Everyone else has 1. I have 2 left.
So with the way cautions are flying, do you kind of expect to see the caution flag to come out enough for you to make use of that extra set of tires? It definitely seems like we've had, about 4 or 5 cautions here in the first half of the race. Do you expect to see that in the second half?
I think there'll be more, especially now that some fast guys are in the back. They're going to be a little dangerous.
All right. Well, Phil, hopefully you can get those rear tires hooked up for this restart that's upcoming. We'll let you get back to it as pace car lights are off. Best of luck.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, that is the number 20 machine, your current race leader. We'll move him back to his group here on the Discord channel. Of course, all these drivers here on Discord here tonight, a lot of them with their teammates. And if you're just joining us for the first time here on 3 Wide TV, we talk a lot about that, Drew, and the teamwork that goes on amongst these different drivers. We hear a lot of them on restarts, kind of time restarts together and kind of watch out for each other and bounce strategy ideas off of one another and all that. And ultimately, at the end of the race, it can be very important to have good teammates.
Yeah, and I think probably at New Hampshire, maybe a little less than other places, but you can kind of split strategies and do that other stuff. As that 20 gets a great restart here, as the car next to him, that number 11, struggled to hook those rear tires up, got a little sideways. As we're kind of bunching up as guys on fresh tires, guys on old tires, struggling to get by each other. It's 4, maybe 5 wide there for a split second through turns 1 and 2, and it's so interesting to see these guys and their pace difference, new and old tires. It can be kind of hard not to run over a guy sometimes when they're really struggling on those tires, and it'll be interesting to see if we can get through this kind of tense portion of this race cleanly, as that at 11 struggling, the 20's already being caught by RJ and that number 21. A bunch of different speeds going on here, and it can be kind of hard not to run over guys. RJ got real close to the number 20 of Bedford there. In the 1 and 2 is, there was some movement going on towards the middle of the pack. And yeah, caution's out. I think we had a significant crash there in the middle of the pack. I didn't quite see who it was, though, Peter.
Well, we'll sort it out here and see if we can figure out. It's the number 10 machine that went around right up in front. He was involved in an earlier accident, then a couple of others. Let's see if we can get a little bit better of a look and see exactly what all went down. But yeah, a lot of cars involved in this one, folks. The number 10 machine will actually slow this down. There's the contact with the number 4. Then the 31 machine gets involved right down into the 48. The 33 then stacking up a bunch of others behind him. But the 10 kind of gets away. Wow, look at Max Williams there, our in-race reporter here tonight, just kind of scooting on through. But let's see if we can go back and see exactly what happened here from the number 33 machine, because he was kind of in that second group of cars that really, in my opinion, was the real hornet's nest of this accident. There's the initial collision. There's the number 91 in front of him, the 28 getting involved, the 71 going around. Looks like the number 3 got a piece of it. Definitely a really big accident here. Let's see if we can go on board with the number 31 and see kind of what his view was of this accident, because he was right there. There's the number 10 getting loose, and he just got clipped, spun down. There's the 48 coming across, and I think the 48 really got the bad end of the stick, because he ended up down there in those the tires down there, Drew. And if there's one thing about iRacing and tires, it's that you can really get in those tires and tear up a race car very quickly in iRacing doing so.
Yeah, they're certainly kind of less forgiving than concrete can be, which is kind of strange. As that 48 takes contact from that 31 car, and that's a lot of damage that 48 is going to have. iRacing, when you hit a tire barrier like that, it's going to like throw that rear end out of place, and it's going to have a lot of damage. If there is a big one at New Hampshire, that should be considered it. I mean, that's probably 10 cars involved. And I think you would kind of call that a little big one at Talladega or Daytona. But at New Hampshire, that's a big one. You typically only see 1, 2, maybe 3 cars get involved in a wreck, not about 10. As that number 52, that rear end damage, I think that happened earlier. I think he did a pretty good job keeping it clean through that wreck. But that 52 does have a little bit of rear end damage as he got pinged going into turn 1. And again, talked about, full lock sideways, sliding through 1 and 2 was our race sponsor for tonight. That number 52, Max Williams.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a quick word from him, because I'm really curious to know what that number 52 is going to say. Max Williams, Peter Short, 3 Wide TV booth. Once again, we just had pretty much as big of a big one as you can get on the backstretch here at New Hampshire. It looked like you were able to slice and dice your way through. Tell us about what you saw.
Yeah, we had a mixture of strategies there, some on old and some on new tires, so I knew it was going to stack up. I'm on old tires, but I was at the back, so I didn't have to get involved. But I didn't really see what caused it, but I'm assuming we had a big stack up there, people trying to get around the old tires, and someone made a bad move. And I got a little rear end damage, got it all fixed up, though. Someone didn't see the wreck in time, gave me a little contact. All good, though. We got no major damage, I don't think, but we made it through there. So.
Well, I think everyone in the chat is really curious about that long slide. We'll get a quick word about that. A little bit of contact in turn number 1, and one of the most stellar saves we've seen here on 3 Wide TV in a long time. What was going through your mind when that 52 was completely sideways a little while ago?
Yeah, well, I had Nathan Nixon cleared on the front stretch, and I thought I was good. I guess I braked a little early, maybe for what he was expecting, and he just hit me square in the rear end there, going into 1, and I was already turning in, so everyone could read my numbers. But I was working the wheel, did not want to get into the outside wall there, so. But eventually got it covered back up, and we're still good. We got 2 sets of tires, so we'll be good to go.
All right, well, we'll let you get back to it, Max. Best of luck. All right, folks. We're gonna go back up to the front of the field because the green flag is in the flagman's hand. RJ Williams back out front, where he has been for 73, make that 74 laps as he goes across the start-finish line. Clears Philip Bedford as we go off into turn number 1. Drew.
Once again, that 20 still has older tires. I think they probably have normalized a little bit. Typically, when you kind of go through a heat cycle with these tires, your pace deficit is going to be lessened as those guys aren't on fresh, kind of cold rubber. And for some reason, on stock cars and iRacing, cold rubber gives you by far the most grip of anything that you're going to have. Is now we're going 3 wide back here. You can't see it, but yeah, that 11 car on the outside is not taking it 3 wide. He's just trying to not get run over. But we were nonetheless 3 wide there with that number 11 car, as now kind of sorting itself out. But the number 20, it's going to be interesting to see how far he falls. And man, they really want to run 3 wide here at New Hampshire, which it might be a wide track, but it's still very difficult to be able to pull off a 3 wide situation here, as that the actual driving lane tends to be fairly narrow, as that 71 is running right there behind that number 1 car that we were riding on board with. But how much did these guys who took didn't take these fresh tires fall, right? The kind of worst case scenario is this thing goes a full cycle of a green flag run, and those guys will lose a massive amount of time, and kind of guys that haven't gotten up to speed as quickly, maybe like the 11 car, they're going to be in danger of going a lap down, especially to that 21 who's been just so fast all race long. The 20 doing a little bit better of a job hanging on here, but he's still, you can just see guys eating him up. He hasn't been around the 37 to 24 all night, and those older tires are just kind of putting him in that position where he's going to have to be driving out of his rearview mirror more than his windshield until he's able to take advantage of that extra set of fresh tires. And you talked about it, Peter. It is a gamble. He sounded pretty confident, did Philip Bedford, that there were going to be more cautious, but that's never a guarantee. And if there's not, you're paying a huge price. You're just removing yourself from your ability to win this race. But you do have right now twice the amount of tires of your competitors, as he has 2 sets. Everyone else only has 1 more set of tires, and we're only on lap 84.
Yeah, and he might have just got a little bit of a tire rub as well after almost banging doors with the number 27 right there. That is William Barbaglietta. That car is up 14 positions from where he started in that number 27. So definitely one of those drivers who have been on the move from the start of the race here tonight. Very impressive. And right in front of him is Ashton Lawson. And Ashton right there started 8th, now running in the 5th position as the 20 of Bedford continues his slide back through the field, now heavily under fire from the number 1 of Jacob Manning and Eric Kep. And by my numbers, Jacob Manning in the number 1 machine so far is the biggest mover of the race in that Chevy Camaro. So keep our eyes on that number 1. Gained 21 positions and almost into the side of that number 20 there coming out of turn number 4. But good job by Manning to stay off that Home Depot race car out there. And Drew, one thing about being so close coming out of these corners is we've seen a lot of these cars wiggle. Sometimes if you just kind of get so close, that car to your outside just wiggles a little bit. That can lead to disaster.
You know, if you're within a car width of each other here on exit and one of those guys gets a little out of shape, it's going to be hard to prevent contact at that point by either driver. Maybe a little bit easier for the guy on the inside to avoid it just because he has all that inside of the track to work with. The guy on the outside has nowhere to go. He's got a wall on one side and a car on the other, and he's kind of at the mercy of the guy to his inside as to, how that's going to turn out for him. But I got to say, I'm really impressed with this 20 car. He's now down to 9th position, but he doesn't seem to be much slower than those guys around him. Though back up front, that number 03 car now really challenging Williams. And we saw this last run. It's taken a little bit longer this time for Jacob Bransky to get up there and challenge RJ, but we're seeing it now. He is applying a ton of pressure on the number 21. Is that 03 going to be able to get up there and for the first time under green conditions, take the lead away from that number 21?
Yeah, that is definitely going to be something we're going to have to keep our eye on for the remainder of this race. One thing about Jacob Manning in the number one machine that I do want to mention is he was the winner of the last race, the Ocean Network Express Watkins Glen International race that was just a little while ago. In fact, 1 week ago by my math. Got that win at Watkins Glen, so a little bit of a road ringer. And coming to a racetrack like New Hampshire, Drew, because you're heavily on the brakes going off into turn number 1, you're heavy on the brakes going into turn number 3, this racetrack tends to lend itself to road ringers, at least a little bit more than, another track like, let's say, California or Michigan, the big tracks, just because of how much brake you use here. So a little... I guess not a big surprise that the number 1 of Jacob Manning is now getting himself up there through the field, now into the 8th position.
Yeah, a great job by that number 1 car of, starting 30th. It's, as a guy who completely screwed up a chase race, or qualifying in a chase race here in New Hampshire and started back in the 20s, I know firsthand how difficult it is to really work your way up through the field and keep your stuff clean. We've seen quite a few incidents tonight that might hurt your car, and you might have nothing to do with it. So a really good job by that number 1 to get up there after running a 5-minute and 30-second qualifying lap at New Hampshire. That was obviously intentional. He definitely wanted to be the last guy on the grid. But that number 03 still hounding RJ, doing a really, really good job of staying consistent here and pushing that 21 and to maybe burning up his stuff a little bit. Maybe that's what this 03 is doing, is maybe he knows if I don't get pressure on this number 21, it's going to be really, really difficult for me to get up there and compete with him later. So I got to put pressure on him right now.
Yeah, that is for sure. Folks, if you're watching at home as the 21 of Williams has a little bit of a wiggle there coming out of turn number 4, we do want to update you on the current point situation here in the Great Lakes Cup Series. Of course, if you've been following this series all season long, we are through the first 5 races tonight, really marking the halfway mark at the start of the race tonight towards the chase. Of course, the chase is the final 6 races, Darlington, Bristol, Indianapolis, Sonoma, Talladega, Homestead, to round out the season. But with that being said, RJ Williams comes into tonight as the points leader by 2 points over Christopher Heller in his machine. And last I saw, Heller in the number 11 was running down there in 18th position. We'll check in on him. There he is right there in that Irwin Tools. But I believe he's on one of those drivers, Drew, on that alternate strategy here tonight. He hasn't been down pit road in 51 laps, much like the number 20 of Philip Bedford. And we know, Drew, that they can only go about 63 to 67 laps, at least on a tank of fuel with no caution. But you might say they might be able to stretch it to 70, 75 laps or so. So maybe another 20 laps or so, we might see this car on pit road. But Heller currently second place in points. Brandon Barkuski comes into tonight third place in points, but it has not been a good night for that number 25 machine. There he is with looking like a modified. I know they have a big modified race here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, but you do not want a cup car to look like a modified. But as I say that, caution flag waves. And we'll see exactly what brought out this one. I believe it's Jeff Johnson, one of those drivers who early on in the race got a ton of laps back because he was a lap down, or many laps down. Got a lot of those laps back, and it just snaps on him there coming out of turn number 2. You see him bounce off the wall, and the 10 machine again getting involved. The number 10 has not had a good night, but luckily the 82 was able to kind of woe it down off the racing surface. A bit surprised the caution flag was thrown there, but nonetheless, Jeff Johnson in that number 82. Now, quite a bit of damage on that race car. That will help Barkuski because he was in danger of falling a lap down to the race leaders. They were on the same straightaway. Barkuski third place in points. Elliot Henderson in the number 4, fourth place in points, excuse me, not in the number 4. Comes into tonight 6 markers back. Max Williams, our in-race reporter, came into tonight 5th place in points. Scott Shearer, Jacob Manning, 6th and 7th. Frederick Cremines in 8th. Daniel Nanny, Matt Durr down in 10th. And really, the 10th spot is oh so important, Drew, because that is the playoff cutoff line to make it for the run for the championship. But now I'm sure we'll see the number 20 and a couple of the others come down pit road here to get the fresh tires, those drivers who were on that alternate strategy. In fact, we got some others also coming down pit road as the cone gets knocked over a little bit further back. The 99 coming down pit road, the 1, the 20. Could be drivers possibly setting themselves up for the end here. But going back to that playoff, man, it's taking me forever to get through these points with everything going on out there on the racetrack. Matt Durr comes into tonight's 9 points in front of James Shiflett. Chris White, another 7 markers back. Josh Cottle, another 8 markers back behind Chris White. So we do have a pretty good battle for the playoff contention line right down there around 10th place in points between Matthew Durr, James Shiflett, Chris White, and even Daniel Nanny and Frederick Cremines. Both of those drivers just inside the playoff cutoff line as well, Drew. So definitely something to keep our eye on tonight here on 3 Wide TV as we're about to get into the final 50 laps here. And Drew, you and I know you get into the final 50 laps of any race and the action really starts to heat up.
It certainly does, and I was if we had cut back to me before that caution came out, I was going to suggest maybe short pitting here if you think it's going to go green, and luckily that didn't happen, and I didn't curse at that time, Peter. My thoughts might have, but my actual speech did not. But yeah, guys like the number 20, we'll see. This was a longer green run than I was anticipating, but I'm also kind of surprised that guys like RJ Williams and the 03 didn't pit. I believe this is kind of within their fuel window, is it not? And they can't make it outside of pitting. So these guys are going to have to stop. And I think guys like the number 20 can make it from here. Am I mistaken in thinking that?
No, you are exactly right. The number 20 will be able to make it all the way to the end of the race from here, even if we go caution-free. So that is a big benefit for him. We also have to think about the fact that the number 20, who will be charging his way through the field because he's on fresh tires, unlike these drivers up front. At the top of the screen, you can see the lap since these drivers last pit. RJ Williams, Jacob Bransky, and company, they've been out there on the racetrack with 28 laps, and most of those laps were green flag laps, so those tires will be fairly worn on all of those race cars. But then you have the number 20 machine, and he's definitely going to be further back in the field for this particular restart. But that number 20, he's got those fresh tires, 28 lap fresher tires in the leaders. We saw how important that was kind of on the inverse when he had 28 lap older tires. So I'm sure he's going to be mowing his way through the field to get back up towards the top 5 here pretty quickly. But if we go caution free from here, it will definitely play to his advantage because he's good to go on fuel.
He's good to go on fuel. He's good to go on tires. And I just don't understand why the 21 and the 03 didn't pit. If you can make it on fuel here, maybe they are gambling. There's going to be another caution, which doesn't seem improbable or unlikely, right? But in the short term, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, it is a gamble that there's going to be another caution that's going to not force these guys to pit. As we are back to green, the number 21 gets a great restart. RJ Williams, he's been so good on restarts all evening long, and he continues that here this restart as well. The 03 of Jacob Bransky, the only guy who's been able to challenge on pace, gets a really good run through 1 and 2 as for the first time the number 37 car gets up to third position, as a lot of those guys, since they pitted, it's kind of shaken up the field just a little bit. The 84, 24 racing side by side, 27 trying to take advantage of that, as well as these guys are racing side by side. And now there's the big challenge of the guys who pitted is to get through this field cleanly and not burn up your stuff. You might have fresher tires, but it's really easy to kind of quickly equalize that difference, that pace advantage that you have by just overdriving the car and burning up your stuff. As that 03 took a look to the inside of the 21, he got really loose there though, going into turn 3. That 03 did of Jacob Bransky. He just really sent it in there and didn't quite stick, and that really cost him about 3 car lengths to that number 21 of RJ Williams, who again has just been so strong, such a solid performance thus far of the 21. And that 03 just made a little bit of a mistake there, which kind of set him back just a little bit. But I'm just keeping an eye on that 20 car. That 20, he is up to 14th position and really cutting through this field at this point. He's taking it 3 wide right now in turns 3, as some guys were getting a little loose around him. But that's what you got to do here. You got to kind of make very calculated, smart decisions. As a couple guys got loose into turn 1 there, thought maybe we would see some problems, but all clean, all good. As you can really see how well that 20 is rolling through the field at this point, Pete.
Yeah, and you see all the cars now going off into the corner. Man, that number 20 machine is just absolutely rolling. Just made a couple of passes, just got around the number 17 machine. That, of course, driven by Hunter Madalenas. That 20 just got himself back inside the top 10. He's up to 9th, and caution flag is waving here once again, and I believe it is Caleb Disorda in the number 3 machine who has gone around in the Sheets machine and just gets loose out of turn number 4 like we've seen a couple times. Ooh, also the 33 machine, and the 3 comes back up the racetrack. A couple of drivers just scattering around, but looks like a really almost synchronized spinning between the 3 and the 33.
Yeah, that was almost like a car chicane for those guys trying to avoid it. You had a car stopped up high, car stopped up low, as now we're seeing a replay. The 52, who is kind of not of his own doing, kind of been around quite a bit of drama tonight. Our race sponsor, Max Williams. And then the 3 stopped up high, that 33 slowed down low, and all the cars trying to avoid them are just kind of at the mercy of those 2 cars. When you're avoiding the stopped car on the track, you're just like, please don't move. Please don't move until I get by you. I don't want you to make a sudden movement, and then all of a sudden I smack into you. As riding on board here, you see behind that number 33, smack the inside wall, and there we go. Caution, 45 to go. What do the leaders do? The 21 stays out. Almost everybody stays out. A lot of faking going on. And quite frankly, this is what that 20 wanted to see here, Peter, because guess what? He has an extra set of tires still. All these other guys don't. So worst case scenario for Philip Bedford, there's another caution here in about 10, 15 laps, and he's on the equal strategy with everybody else. Best case scenario, this thing goes green to the end, and he has a huge pace advantage.
Yeah, but, you talked about it a little while ago. Now we've had a little bit of a heat cycle in the tires for Philip Bedford. That might erase some of the advantage that he had. in his race car. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. You briefly saw one driver there, I believe, receiving the waiver round, and it was the number 82 of Jeff Johnson, who, if you were to crown a lucky dog with the Lucky Dog Award, it would be this man right here. Was at one point earlier in the race 8 laps down. He, of course, got some of those laps back due to the in-race admins giving him some of those laps back, waving him back around, but he's going to pick up yet another Lucky Dog Award here under this caution. But yeah, Drew, the good news for the number 20 is now he's going to be caught back up. That is for sure. He's going to be caught back up with the leaders. Everyone's going to be bunched back together. He's also going to be on the inside groove, which is where he was making all of his passes there when we were under green flag. So that will benefit him as well. But definitely maybe a little bit of a heat cycle might definitely change the way that number 20 drives, at least relative to his competitors here in the next 43 laps or so. Gonna head over to the chat. I'm curious to know who we got in the chat here tonight watching the Great Lakes Cup Series here. A little bit of one-off action here on 3 Wide TV. We thank you for joining us here tonight. Make sure to give it a little bit of a thumbs up to the video here on YouTube. And great to have all these drivers out here on the grid. And I gotta say, Drew, for someone who's an outsider and not really getting to see the Great Lakes Cup Series before tonight. Great field here tonight. A great group of people, 30 plus cars out there on the racetrack, and everyone very, very talented drivers from what I'm seeing up and down my live timing and scoring when it comes to things like iRating and their safety rating and all that stuff. Of course, that's kind of how iRacing scores you on the official series side of things. So this is a very talented group, great field, and of course that always puts on a great show here on 3 Wide TV because the best drivers know how to put on the best shows.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we're seeing here tonight, a challenging set of conditions and track combo basically for these guys, and they've done a good job. I certainly didn't expect this to go a full green run here, and it's such a challenge when you have a track temp that's probably cooled down a little bit. As now we have some overcast skies. Yeah, down to 116, which is luckily, I'm sure these guys are thanking that overcast stuff, which was a fairly recent change in iRacing. I remember how much that cloud addition really added to just the immersion of it, right? When you just get that one cloud over one part of the track and then you go through that and it just completely changes, like kind of we're seeing now. Cloud on the back stretch, clear on the front stretch. It's really kind of cool to experience that. Quite a bit of wheel spin for quite a few of those guys up front on that restart is the number 21. A good restart, though not the best restart we've seen from that 21. But guys like the number 24, the 37, a few of those guys got quite sideways there on that start-finish line, and that's something that we see so often here on old tires. You'll see guys just spin those rears up and get dead sideways. Luckily, everybody able to keep it clean there. As I'm just watching that number 20, who is the guy that we're riding on board with right now, Philip Bedford, newest tires of anybody else really out there. I think some drivers pitted that last time by, but nobody that's really been up there and competing. But with that heat cycle of tires, what does that do? Is he kind of got checked up there by the 27 and the 49. I think the 83 might have caught the wall there on the exit as well. Not uncommon. We've seen that quite a bit here tonight. Luckily, the 83 able to kind of prevent himself from what you kind of instinct tells you to do, which is to pull that wheel and get that car off the wall as soon as possible. I thought the 20 was going to make it 3 wide there with the 49 and the 83, but Bedford thinks better of it, and he kind of backs that car up on entry and is going to try to set himself up and get by the 83 and potentially get a 2-1 with the 49. He's going to peek to the inside of the 49 here down the back stretch. He's showing his nose, not really quite there, but the 49 knows his intention, and that 20 sends it down into turn 3, and you can just see what those fresh tires do. They allow you to carry that apex speed just a little bit more, and I don't think he quite has the advantage that he had that last run, but he certainly has just a little bit, a tenth a lap will make a massive difference in New Hampshire, right? A tenth a lap for 10 laps, that's a full second, as math would indicate that 1/10 over 10 would be 1. So it can really provide a big advantage for that number 20 as he gets by the 27 now, sets his sights on the 24 in front of him, and the number 84 as well. That black and silver scheme, almost that old school Jimmy Johnson looking scheme right there. With the 24 running that old Jeff Gordon scheme as well, as that number 21 continues to lead. But there's definitely guys that are looking to run that number 21 down here, Pete.
Yeah, we're looking a little bit further back in the pack here. Here's Frederick Cremines in his race car right in front of our in-race reporter, the 52 machine, the sponsor of tonight's Ramblin wreck from Georgia Tech 150. That 52 machine proudly displaying Georgia Tech not only on the hood, but the side of that Chevy Camaro right there, trying to take away a position here. That would move Max up into the 14th position. And just trying to see when he was last on pit road. He was on pit road 17 laps ago with drivers like Philip Bedford. So he's also on that fresher tire strategy, if you will. Speaking of Bedford, though, he's been making moves here while we were looking further back in the pack. Just got up to the 4th position as the 24 and the 84 machine get tight behind him. But a caution flag back in the air here at this beautiful racetrack in the northeast portion of the United States. We'll see if we can figure out what went down. I think we have sorted this one out. The 48 machine here, Matthew Durr coming out of the corner. Contact there with the number 1 machine of Jacob Manning. And that is, for the second time tonight, heavy contact with the inside wall in the backstretch for the 48 there, Drew.
I think that really the caution didn't fly until the very end there. We saw with the lights, what that the 48, I mean, it's probably not in his best interest to keep it off the track, but you really want to get up to speed before you pull back on the track and you cause a caution. You see the 48 just get loose, and then really the one's just running his race. I don't think he really did anything wrong there. The 48 got loose and over-rotated the exit and kind of pushed himself down into that one car. But I wish the 48 would have just kept it down there a little bit more. I really wanted to see what that 20 could do with the rest of this field, because I really anticipate everybody, here we go, everybody's going to be coming down pit road now. They can all make it from here. I was going to ask, when are these guys going to have to pit? Because it had been quite a while since drivers like the 21, since drivers like the 03 of Jacob Bransky had pitted, but this is a big reprieve for them, and now we're going to have equal tire strategies amongst the leaders. If everybody takes 4, will the 21 beat him off? Oh, the 21 almost loses it coming out of the pit lane, but I think he will maintain that race lead.
Well, again, we have a little bit of split strategies out there on the racetrack. Let's see if we can figure out what happened to the 21 machine of Bedford here as he gets back out there onto the racetrack. He once again lights up the rears and almost gets into the 03 machine. You see the 37 there of Henderson getting around the outside, but I think the order is going to be 21, 03, and 37 out of that bunch. But like I said, we do have some split strategy. Again, Philip Bedford in the number 20 machine. He is still continuing to save that set of tires here, Drew. A bit surprised with that, but he was charging through the field right there at the end of that last run. We'll see how many laps he has on his tires. He last pitted 20 laps ago in the number 20 machine. Of course, we did have, I believe, one caution flag kind of interspersed in that run. So maybe not all 20 green flag laps, but definitely older tires than now the 21 machine of R.J. Williams, who has been the dominant car here tonight, has led 110 laps. In fact, we're looking at the only other driver who has led a lap here tonight. It has been Williams and Bedford leading all 117 of the laps, and there'll be 118 this time by, which is really, really crazy to think about, Drew.
It's not often that you see that type of dominance in sim racing. I think because these guys all have equal equipment. In real life, you see that type of dominance from guys like Jeff Burton, Jeff Gordon in the early 2000s comes to mind, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch at periods in his career, right? I mean, Tony Stewart, right? There's a ton of guys that we know that dominated races in one way or the other, but they all had different cars, right? All of these guys are running the exact same setup, the exact same equipment, I believe. I'm sorry, I might be mistaken. Is this a fixed league here, Pete? I might be totally mistaken. I believe it is.
I was actually looking at the rule book a little while ago, and I didn't see that. So I was curious myself. Of course, kind of doing a one-off, getting to know all the drivers in the league here. So I don't recall seeing that, and that might be one of the reasons why we've seen such dominance out of RJ Williams here tonight, but nonetheless, very, very impressive showing by him and really everyone inside the top 5. But now they have more work to do because the pace car is about to head down pit road. 31 laps to go when the green flag waves, and it is the number 20, Philip Bedford. He has 20-lap old tires and the 21 machine of RJ Williams dominant here tonight, going to be restarting in 7th. The 20 already on the loud pedal, and you can see the 21 machine of Williams back there really getting boxed in by, I believe that is the 88 machine of Chris White there on that restart, but already 3 wide, the 21 and the 03. Look at them, they're side by side. They have been the two that have been 1-2 for most of the night, and the 03 trying to get past the 21. We haven't seen anyone past that 21 machine on the racetrack as the 24 machine goes up into the outside wall, saves it with a little bit of help from that outside retaining wall, but he's going to slide well back. That, of course, being Ashton Lawson right there, all the way back to 18th right now.
03 able to capitalize on that kind of precarious situation that RJ Williams was in, and this isn't the race lead. Man, a ton of guys are getting loose off of 2 here as these guys are pushing so hard. Oh, a caution, another caution is out. Well, let's see what happened here, but this will have big implications, right? This is not super what that number 20 really wanted. Now looking back towards the pack, the 24 again, the 37, the 91. What happens? Oh, the 24, we saw him struggling so much. The 91 gets into him. The 3 gets into him, into the inside wall. Some decent damage from the 3. I don't think the 21 really had too much, but I'm trying to see, did the 4 get, no, the 91 got loose and just tagged that 24, and kind of once again what we've been seeing all night, the guy that had nothing to do with the wreck, the number 3 car, really pays the price as far as damage is concerned. I don't think the 91 or the 24 really had any substantial damage, thanks to the 3 kind of being a buffer between the wall and that other car. But what does the 20 do? This isn't enough laps for him, I don't think. I think if he pitted now, he would just kind of be surrendering that set and just putting himself back. That was only a few laps. I think he wanted this to go about 10 more laps. But the problem is here, Peter, by my view, is that there's not going to be a lot of time for that 20 to take advantage of these fresh tires. But if the cautions fall right for him and he's able to pit with a 10-lap difference, which I think is about the minimum that he would want, he's only going to have 20 more laps to make that difference up. And he's going to have the whole field to go through because he is one of the very few guys with tires left. I don't know that that's going to work out for him.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. Of course, we've been very wrong in the booth before, true. We've said things and said, oh, that person's never going to come back, and they can just come roaring up through the field. But it is going to be difficult because we have seen how tough it is to pass here tonight, even on those fresher tires. I mean, it took him about, 15, 20 laps to go from about the 20th position up to about 5th. And at that point, he had 20-lap fresher tires. Well, he's not going to have that advantage here coming up very quickly. Now, we could have green-white checker and, some things happen at the end of the race, but it's going to be fun to see if that number 20 is going to be able to use that extra set of tires and just how far he'll be able to climb back up through the field, because you and I know he will not have a great track position when we go back green. Let's see if we can check in with our in-race reporter, the number 52 machine, who is actually one of those drivers who is on that alternate strategy. We'll see if we can check in with him very quickly. Max Williams, Peter Short here in 3-Wide TV booth. You're up there in the 3rd position. You're in that little bit of a different strategy as of right now. How's it going to work out for you? What are you hoping to see? Are you hoping to see a caution flag here shortly? And when do you think is the optimal time to see that yellow flag fall?
Well, me, Chris, and Jacob, our team, was all on the same strategy. We needed a caution about 135 to take advantage of the tire difference. So I need a caution here in about 10 laps to get that last set on, because everyone else, the people right behind me, don't have a set. So they used their last one on that last stop. So I need one more caution, about 10 to 15, and we'll come in bolt on the last tires and then go like crazy. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Well, definitely been a really interesting night with how slippery these cars have been. Before we let you go here, just want to let you give an opportunity to give a shout out here on 3-Wide TV. I know you are the sponsor of tonight's race, so let's hear it.
I'll go ahead and give a shout out to Corbin Simmons, teammate in the Blown Piston League. He's a great guy, helps me prepare each week for the races, so I'll give a shout out to him. Give a shout out to R&R Motorsports, my current team for this league. And then, of course, I'll give a shout out to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
All right, well, best of luck here. About to go back to green. We'll try to talk to you again at least once more before the end of the race there, Max.
All right, sounds good.
All right, well, that does it for the man who's currently sitting in the third position. He's in a good spot for this restart, but he's on older tires and has a very hard-charging number 21 machine of R.J. Williams right behind him, as well as the 03 of Jacob Bransky to his outside. Those are two cars on fresh tires. Really, the front three are on old tires as the pace car heads down pit road. We're watching for any wheel spin. We've seen a little bit of it here tonight. R.J. Williams might have just tried to time that restart, but really, Max Williams not able to get a good restart in the number 52 machine, and there was almost contact. There might have been a little bit of contact as the 52 now put three wide. The 03 might have got a little bit of a door bang there as they went three wide through turn number 1 and 2, and now the 03 and the 21 side by side once again.
Yeah, 52's really getting bullied right now, unfortunately for him. The 21 gave him a shot, the 27 gave him a shot as another caution comes out. This is not what those guys on old tires want to see here, Peter. This is almost forcing their hand at this point with only just over 20 laps to go. But what happened to cause this caution? Looking back here, is the 2 involved again? Not quite. It's the 3 and the 88. Oh, the 88 and the 33 get together, and there's your caution. I don't think any real damage for those guys, but man, does this have big implications as far as the race is concerned with these leaders and their pit strategies. Is the 88 and the 3 going into the corner? Is there any contact? Yeah, that 3 just kind of checks the 88 and just taps his left rear, then the 33 gets into him, and there you go. There's your caution. I don't think there's going to be any huge damage. Maybe the 33 with some front end, but nothing crazy. But is pit road closed? Okay, pit road's closed, so but maybe it was closed. Like the 52 came in, but nobody else did. So apparently it is open. I saw those red lights that you see in the background there, and I assumed it was closed, but maybe that's just from our perspective. But the 52 has quite a bit of damage, I think. No, maybe not. Maybe that was from previous. I take that back, from when he got run into there earlier in the race when he saved that car. But I think we're going to be queuing up a replay showing the contact that was made with that 52. Am I mistaken, Pete?
No, you are absolutely on point right there. Let's see what all went down with the number 52. So there was a little bit of nudge from the number 21 machine, R.J. Williams, saying, all right, get out of my way. I'm fast here. I'm on the fresher tires. And then you said he was getting bullied around. Yeah, watch this. Here comes the number 27 machine, the 37 to his outside. Here comes the number 42 to his outside. Then he checks up, and then the 49 might have got a little side swipe there going off into the corner. There it's the 84. And, of course, this is about when the caution flag eventually does wave. But as you can see, losing bleeding positions in that number 52. Now he's going to come down, get those 4 fresh tires, and he's going to have a little bit of an advantage right here towards the end of the race as he closes in on the back of the field, but currently being scored down in the 25th spot as of right now. That is an awful lot of cars here with 22 laps to go for the number 52, of Max Williams right now in the 25th position. But Drew, going to be very interesting to see. Is that the number 20? No, I thought that briefly the number 20 head down pit road, but he's definitely still out there. Just a little bit of a glitch in the live timing and scoring as they start to cycle on through the scoring loops here on the racetrack here at New Hampshire, 1 mile racetrack. We thank each and every one of you for joining us here in the chat here tonight. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of the Great Lakes Cup Series here on 3Y TV, this one-off race, and great to have them on board. Really appreciate them reaching out to us and getting us all lined up for tonight's races and putting together a couple of the graphics for the package here tonight, and really enjoyed it. Seems like a great group of people to work with, and that's one great thing, Drew, is when you can really tell the professionalism of a group with the way that they interact with the broadcasters and reach out to people, and it definitely seems like a great group to be a part of. So if you're watching the stream here tonight and you're interested in joining the Great Lakes Cup Series, make sure you check out their requirements. There are actual requirements here for the Great Lakes Cup Series that you might need to check out to join. But definitely a great group of racers and very, very competitive group of racers at that. So very, very cool to have them here on the channel here for a little bit of one-off. But Drew, when we go back green here in just about half a mile from now, it'll be a 20-lap shootout. And you and I know 20 lap is, at least in my head, when I start to ring the bell for the closing of the race. Should be a wild finish because we've seen some cautions start to breed cautions as of the past 15, 20 laps.
Certainly have, and I'm really interested to see what can this 21 do. What can this 20 do? This is as close as the 21 has been since that. We got a little bit of a checkup on the restart. The 20 gets a great restart, but some guys maybe anticipated their restart and didn't quite work out for them. I think that worked out about as well for the 20 as he could have wanted. The 21 though gets a great launch into turn 1. Is he going to be able? Oh, another caution immediately. As it looks, I can't quite tell. That was maybe the 82 car in the background that went around in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, we'll see what happened here. I saw it out of the corner of my eye that the number 91 appeared to take it 3 wide going off into the corner, and there's the 82. There's the 3 wide. No, it might have been. They might have thought they might have tried, I should say, to go 4 wide there with the 82 and the 11 just having a little bit of contact. Of course, the 11 driven by Christopher Heller. Let's see if we can get one more look of this one here out back of the number 11 machine of Heller. There's the 82, and I think you'll just see a little bit of contact right there, and that's just enough to unnerve the 82. Luckily, primarily just a single car going around here, so no significant damage accrued, but that's what Philip Bedford wants to actually see here, Drew, in the number 20 machine, because he wanted to see, the continuation of these cautions. However, as I say that, the number 20 of Philip Bedford's on pit road.
I was literally about to say, Peter, you either pit now or you're not pitting again, to me, right? There's less than 20 to go. If there's another caution, it's going to be at around 10 to go by the time you get on the pit lane. After this caution's all said and done, we'll see. I'm not going to count them out. The cycles do wear on these tires. It's not quite like it being a full green run, but cycles absolutely. The heating and cooling, it in real life at the very least hardens that compound and provides a little less grip. But in iRacing, it's not an actual physical tire carcass; it's a simulated one. So does that have the same effect? iRacing probably would argue yes. I think everyone who's run their experience would probably be like, I don't know quite as much about that. But a 20s. If you're going to take advantage of those tires, and this is what we were talking about, you're gambling on the cautions falling right versus the guys that took that extra set early on. I think, they have a less flexible option, but it's almost more versatile while simultaneously being less flexible, right? That they're not the ones that have to determine whether they can utilize that extra set or not. They're just kind of on their strategy. And that's what's kind of played out thus far. 99 though has stayed out. He is another guy who does have an extra set of tires that he chose not to use, inverse of what the 20 did, and he's going to have to hold off that number 21 who's been so fast all night long.
Yeah, without a doubt. RJ Williams sitting there in the second position. And by my math, 19 lap fresher tires on the 21 machine. Same thing with Jacob Bransky and Elliot Henderson, Nick Martin. You have to go all the way back to Philip Bedford, who did come off pit road in the number 20 machine in the 18th spot. He, of course, just came off pit road, so he has about 35 lap fresher tires than Spencer Dickinson. But, versus RJ Williams, Bransky, Henderson, Martin, Barbag, Galetta up there towards the top 5. He only has about 16 lap fresher tires, which we have seen here tonight that it's pretty difficult to pass even with 20 lap fresher tires. And we have seen kind of caution flag after caution flag here over the last few laps. So really, that number is even lessened when you factor in all those caution laps. So I think it's going to be very difficult here for the number 20 machine, but don't count him out for at least a top 10 as he'll be restarting here in 18th. But up at the front, pace car lights are off, so we'll have a 15-lap shootout. We did this 5 laps ago, Drew, so we got 5 more laps in the book here, 5 laps closer to the finish. I think the big question is going to be is how good is the 99 going to restart here? Is he going to spin his tires? Can the 03 get side by side with the 21 machine? Can he get around the number 99 while doing so? Because we've seen the 99 on older tires start to check up some of the cars behind him. We'll have to figure it out because the pace car here about to head down pit road.
Yeah, the 99 99 leading the field to the green flag. I really like the position of the 03. A really good start by that inside lane, and the 03 is in a great position to potentially send it to the bottom of the 21. Is another caution. I believe the 1, the 25, quite a bit of chaos here on this restart. The 33, the 91 all cut up. It looks like 2 separate incidents here on the front stretch. And we're going to have to cue this replay up and figure it out for you folks watching back home. Oh, a huge checkup. The 48, the 20's involved. Oh, the 20, the 52, the 2. What a disaster for that number 20 who worked so hard to position himself all race. But this is the challenge of those guys that took tires, is to get through this field clean. You need to see this massive checkup. I don't know what else that number 20 could have done. He just gets caught up, spin cycle, all sorts of wrecking going on. An unfortunate situation for that number 20.
Yeah, definitely a really unfortunate situation for Bedford, who, just came down pit road. And that was one thing that we didn't get to really talk about, Drew, was the fact that when you're back there, you are in the Hornet's Nest. We've called that the Hornet's Nest a couple times here tonight. And we saw that right there. A couple drivers getting really antsy, getting on the loud pedal maybe a little bit too soon, then causing a stack up. And unfortunately, the 20's in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I don't think you'll be able to use those fresh tires that he was hoping to charge up through the field with all that damage on that race car. You saw a couple of the other cars involved. I believe the number 52 of Max Williams might have got a piece of it. Let's see if we can see if there's any further damage. Yes, there is. You see him coming down pit road right now in that race car to his pit crew, and there you see it in pit box number 24 here tonight. They will try and pull out some of the fenders on that race car for the run to the checkered flag here tonight. But there is the race leader, and Drew, if there's any driver who wants to keep seeing these caution flags, it's that number 99 right there, because he's out front, currently on 37, now 41 lap old tires, I should say, as he goes across the start-finish line this time. But that's not allowing these drivers on fresher tires to get up to his quarter panel, because the caution flag just flies too soon.
Yeah, being fair, that is exactly what the 99 needs to see at this point. He knows that he's kind of in a not great position, to just be quite frank, that he has to have things fall right for him to bring this thing home. But that's kind of what's happening at this point, right? The 21 can't take advantage of those fresher tires, and each lap that goes by like this, it's kind of working to the favor of the 99. Not only the fact that, of course, that he's maintaining the lead, but that the 21's tires are just equalizing a little bit more and more and more. It's never going to be truly equal, and even if it was, I think we've seen more pace out of RJ Williams than we've seen out of the 99 all night. But we're counting laps down, lap by lap by lap. We're having all these issues on restarts, and that's just allowing that 99 to control the race. The 21 isn't able to even get a lap at this point to where he can take advantage of those tires and put pressure on that 99 and retake that lead. And we know how quick the 21's been all night. We know how quick the 03's been for the better part of this race. And neither of those guys are able to get up there and mix it up with the 99, though. If I were to pick one of these drivers as we get, starting to form the field back up here for this restart, here we're going to have a restart with 10 to go, folks. That is definitely crunch time, so to speak. That 03 is in a really good position. He can see what the race leader is doing far better than that 21 to the outside of the 99, who's really having to kind of look left. And if you're not running VR or multiple monitors, it can be really challenging to see when that leader's actually going, because the window net, right, you don't have a clear path of vision to the guy on the inside. But it's going to be a challenge, and I really like where the 03's positioned himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, because that 21's going to be on that outside line. He's going to have clean track in front of him because of the fact that, that number 99, if those older tires start to come into play, that could be a benefit for the 21. The good news for the number 99 is he can lead the field down to the green. He's the one who is in control. Contact between the 03 and the 21 as they bang doors going off into turn number 1. That was close right there between the 03 and the 21, who've been the two fastest cars, but the 99 able to scoot away, at least for now.
Yeah, it's some intense racing going on here at New Hampshire. I think the 29 realized I can't let that 03 get to the inside of me. I got to be the one that gets to the 99 first, and that's what he has been able to achieve as he's really putting pressure on Spencer Dickinson in that number 99 car as the 03 clears the 37 of Haley Henderson, as here comes Jacob Bransky. Now that 21 hasn't been able to kind of get to that 99 like I was really expecting. We have seen those tires equalize a lot more than I thought. Is now that 03 is going to get a really good run as that 21's kind of compromising his mid-corner speed here with just 9 laps to go, coming to 8 laps to go. I really like what that 03 is doing. He's just running his line, and the 21 slips up a little bit through 3 and 4. Is the 03 going to be able to capitalize? The 21 runs defensive. The 03 is going to take that high lane. That high lane isn't a bad place to be here at New Hampshire. It can actually provide you a little bit more speed as the 21 is running really defensive, forcing that 03 up a little bit, but the 03 is going to get a run out of turn 2. How good is that run going to be? There's a wreck towards the back and another caution.
Yep, we got one car turned around. Oh, man, that's the 91 also getting turned around. Who's that stopped? I think that was Ty Aiken in the 71 machine. Let's see if we can figure out. But that's just going to help the number 99 machine right here, side by side with the number 83. And, oh, man, that is some significant contact. The 83 there driven by Schuer in that car. And then I think the 91 also kind of being collateral damage right there at the end. Possibly might have had some contact with the wall as well. But we'll see if we can get at least one more look of this one right here on the channel to see if we can break it down maybe from the helicopter cam as they went off into the corner. Really tight right there. 83 maybe slides up. 71 might have been coming down there. Drew, that one's kind of a tough one to call. But definitely significant contact for the number 71 machine. And we'll have to see whether or not he can get that car rolling, and it looks like it is still rolling out there on the racetrack. That's the good news, but for right now, being scored down in the 25th position. It seems like that is the position where all these drivers that end up having some trouble, they always end up back around 25th, and the reason for that, folks, is we have 25 cars on the lead lap here with just 6 laps to go, and it'll be 5 laps to go this time by. Things are looking better and better and better for the number 99.
I certainly agree about that point. The 21 not really able to kind of do much with that 99. If anything, the 99 maybe had a little bit of pace as that number 21 was dealing with that car behind him, the 03 of Jacob Bransky. Bransky put a lot of pressure on Williams, and Dickinson just able to scoot away there a little bit as that lucky dog car, that number 1, will scoot on by on the outside. That, of course, is Jacob Manning. And then this race is shaping up for that 99. I mean, I don't want to make that 20 feel worse, but I bet that 20 is looking at where that 99 is running and just being like, man, I should have freaking stayed out, because it's worked out so well for that 99. And the 20 obviously caught up on our previous caution before this one on the restart, that huge checkup. But here, I mean, there's not going to be much time to go as the 52. Max Williams, our in-race reporter that we talked to several times mid-race, and tonight's sponsor of this event, the at New Hampshire, and that, of course, would be the good old Ramblin wreck from Georgia Tech 150. Max, obvious big Georgia Tech fan, maybe student, maybe alum. I wish I could have figured that out before the race, but a little bit of a short notice here, but a great job by him in sponsoring the race, and he has been presented with quite a few challenges here in the race and has done a pretty good job of doing what he can to mitigate that stuff. But that 99, Spencer Dickinson, in a pretty good spot here, Peter, given the pace that was displayed that last restart.
Yeah, and really, he's looking for his first top 5 of the season, let alone his first win. So that number 99 trying to improve on a best finish so far this year of 9th place, coming a couple of weeks ago at Pocono. So he definitely wants to get to victory lane in that race car. Meanwhile, the 21 to his outside is looking for race win number 3 on the season. And how about that 03 machine? He hasn't run a lot of races in this series so far this year, the Great Lakes Cup Series. So he's really looking to get to victory lane in that car in what I believe is only his 3rd start, if my memory is correct. So definitely going to be a lot of drivers here with different things coming into this race. They haven't had the season like the number 21 machine. So a lot of hungry drivers here tonight, here with just 3 laps to go. So it won't be an official green-white checker unless we get another caution flag with 3 laps to go, that pace car coming off. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a green-white checker and another caution flag coming out here, Drew, because that pace car is down pit road, and we got a lot of hungry drivers behind it. But the number 99 on the loud pedal early, and he's going to clear the 21 going off into the corner. Not a good restart for the 21.
Yeah, a bit of a struggle there in anticipating the timing for that 21, but he gets a really good clean run through 1 and 2. What is he going to be able to do to that 99 off of turn 2? Is the field going to be able to keep it clean here? As this is the best shot this 21's had at this 99 thus far this race. He's going to really drive it into turn 3, maybe a little too much, as he gets not quite the runoff. And another caution.
Another caution comes out further back in the pack. I think it's Brandon Barkuski in the number 25, who has just had a rotten night. Came into tonight up there in the point standings, and we'll roll the tape right here. It actually might have happened in front of him. It did happen in front of him, the 82 and the 20. And there's Barkuski. And Barkuski just got turned right there. I was kind of wondering where the caution flag was, because it seemed like they had everything kind of sorted out. So let's see if we can roll the tape, let it all play out here, because we know that things are going on in front of them there with the 82 and the 20. And then the 20 comes back up the racetrack, and just contact there. And oh man, the one getting into it, your recent lucky dog Jacob Manning being involved, and that's just enough to bring out the caution. But Drew, I mentioned that I wouldn't be all surprised to see a green-white checker, and we're going to get it here on 3 Wide TV here in just a little bit. Not too surprised.
Nope, not terribly surprised given these late race restarts, and that tends to just be a thing in iRacing. If you don't have a ton of cautions early that kind of thin the herd, so to speak, you tend to get a lot of cautions late. If there's one, there's multiple. We do have 3 green-white checkered attempts, so that's a lot. That's a lot of attempts here. At one point, I remember, what was it, at Gateway maybe, in the trucks in the mid-2000s, there was like 8 green-white checkered attempts, and that's when they're like, no, we're not doing unlimited number of attempts. And 3 has kind of been the settled number for a while, I believe. I haven't been super up to par with NASCAR rules as of late, but 3 attempts is quite a few. I know that 99 probably wishes it was 1, because he would just have to nail this restart and hope for an immediate caution. As it stands now, this race will finish under green, because I shouldn't say will finish under green, but with 3 attempts, it's highly likely that this race is going to finish under green, because if the leader, whether it's the 99 or the 21 or the 03, takes the white flag, the caution in iRacing does not fly once the white flag is out, which can sometimes kind of be problematic for racing sometimes, as guys can kind of do whatever they want and they're not going to cause a caution and get a penalty by causing a caution if their league doesn't penalize kind of aggressive driving on the last lap. So it'll be interesting to see. This 21 certainly hasn't lacked aggression here, Peter. We've seen him really be aggressive with blocking and attempting to pass, and that's probably why he's been the only 2-time winner this year and been so quick at so many other tracks. Nice guys like Mark Martin, he won some races. He would have won a lot more had he kind of been more aggressive and a little more mean on track. And we certainly haven't seen that 21 be forgiving in his driving tonight.
Yeah, that is for sure. And like you said, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to try and get to the checkered flag. It's every man for himself, especially at this point of the race with what will only be 2 laps to go when we do go back green here in just a little bit. So definitely going to be a fun shootout to the finish here on 3 Wide TV. Want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here on the channel for a little bit of bonus action here on the channel with the Great Lake Cup Series. Working their way through turn number 1 and 2 with the pace car off. It will be green flag this time by. And like I said, Jacob Bransky only his 3rd start of the season here tonight, Drew. So he's really looking to get a checkered flag himself. Best finish so far this year happened back at Pocono a couple of weeks ago, finishing in the 6th position. But like I said, he's been fast. You've mentioned the 21 fast, but we haven't really talked much about Elliot Henderson in the number 37 all too much here tonight. I believe he was the winner back at Pocono So could he walk away with a late race win? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out, because anything can and will happen here on 3Y TV. Pace car on pit road, green flag in the flagman's hand, and the number 99 is on it. He kind of had a slow restart there, Drew. Tried to hold up the 21 just a little bit before they got off into the corner, and he's able to scoot away once again.
Yeah, and he nailed that restart, and the 21 didn't as much, and that's really been the only thing keeping that 21 behind that 99 has been how good that 99's been on these restarts. But can we get to the white flag? That 21 putting huge pressure on that number 99. What kind of run is the 21 going to get? Oh, he gets it super, super loose. That is not what the 21 needed, as now we have the white flag. This will be the end of the race, folks, and the 99 has the advantage that he really needs in order to give himself a good shot, as the 37 gets pushed up the track by the 03. What will that number 99 of Spencer Dickinson do? All he has to do is really get through turns 3 and 4 cleanly. Will that happen? Will the 21 send it? He does. The 21 drives it into the corner, but that's not going to allow him to carry the apex speed that he needs. And Spencer Dickinson, what a run off the corner. He will win here at New Hampshire.
And the number 99 goes to victory lane, folks. 57 lap old tires. Was able to hold off the number 21, who had 19 lap fresher tires. What a run to the finish. RJ Williams here tonight led 110 of the 150 plus laps, but he won't be going to victory lane. What a strong run for the 21, but just coming up one position short, and I'm sure this man right here, Spencer Dickinson, will be burning it down here on the front stretch. The 31 going to come up and give him a little bit of a congratulatory bump right there. The 31 coming home in the 14th position when it's all said and done. But let's give an applause to this man right here on the front stretch, burning it down in the Aflac number 99, akin to what Carl Edwards used to run back in NASCAR, as he lights it up and just a little bit of a tap to the inside wall just to make sure that that race car is legal there, Drew.
The old Roush tactic of backing it into the inside wall. It can't be illegal if it's bent up, and that 99 certainly has had some contact as he once again taps the rear to the outside wall that time just to even it up on the left and right sides. But a great drive by Spencer. I didn't think, honestly, he was going to be able to hold off RJ, but he did what he needed to do on that last restart to hold him off. He got a great restart, and then the 21 just kind of overdrove 3 and 4, trying to get to the bumper that 99 coming to take the white flag, and then there was just too much room for the 21 to make up at that point, and Spencer did what he needed to do and kind of improbably held off that 21 to take the victory here at New Hampshire.
And Drew, I'm just going to go back, and before we line up some interviews, I want to kind of highlight this battle that went on around the 10th position or so, because it was an absolute slugfest all the way to the finish of the race for some of these drivers. I believe this is coming to the white flag lap. There was the contact between the 03 and the number 37 machine. But let's watch this. There's the number 63 machine. We'll see if we can maybe get a little bit a better look at what's going on back here. But some of these cars, maybe around the 42 of Nick Martin, just really rare. There's a 49, so that's what I started to see, was a 49 start to get loose. And then back behind him, just some great racing all the way back to the start-finish line here to end the race. But my, oh my, what a great run for the number 99 of Spencer Dickinson. Folks, we're going to step away for just a brief moment here on 3Y TV. We want to talk to some of our top finishers here tonight, and we'll be right back. All right, folks, so welcome back to 3 Wide TV, where tonight's race has come to its conclusion. First person we're going to talk to is our in-race reporter, Max Williams. Max, things didn't exactly go to plan for you right there at the end of the race, but I'll tell you what, a crazy, wild finish to tonight's race. I know you got caught up in a couple of those incidents right there at the end. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the end of the first half of the race was pretty good. We were working our way up to the front. Car felt pretty good, all things considered. We saved tires really well. Then we kept getting hit up the rear. We kept getting run into the back up a tiny bit, which kept putting us back. Had some damage to fix every once in a while, and that's fine and dandy. But yeah, just kept getting caught up in small things, and I have to go back there and fix the 20, 30 seconds of damage, and then we got caught up in that big one there at the end where they all checked up on the restart, and that kind of did us in there at the end. But it was a good race until the second half. I don't know what happened all throughout, but we'll go on to next week. I can be happy that stuff was out of my control this week, really. So, but we'll go on and we'll move on and look forward to next week.
Yeah, speaking of next week, it will be at Dover International Speedway, another 1 mile racetrack, but very different from tonight. What are your thoughts about going to Dover?
Dover will be that's a unique track. Miles the Monster or whatever he's called, right? That's a concrete track. That'll be a good test of skill there. That'll be, I assume, pretty challenging as well. So that'll be a good test as well, back to back. 2 different really unique style of tracks. So that'll be good to see.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite racetracks in iRacing as well, Dover. So hopefully it's a good one next week. But Max, Drew and I were asking the questions kind of back and forth to one another. Is what's the story behind Georgia Tech? Are you an alumni? Are you a fan? Let us hear about it.
Oh yeah, it's a somewhat funny story, but just a really big fan. It started when I was little. I wanted to be an engineer, like trains or something, buildings. Just be some sort of engineer. And my mom was like, "Oh, Georgia Tech is a good engineering school." So like little 7 or 8 year old me, was like, "Ah, Georgia Tech, that's my dream school." So I kind of just pitched onto their sports teams and stuff, and I've been a fan ever since. Don't actually go to school there just because it didn't work out, but big fan, and I try and go to some of their games here and there. So.
Well, Max, definitely a great run for you here tonight in that number 52 machine. Up and down night, you made the best of it. You made one heck of a save there in the middle portion of the race. It could have been a whole lot worse, put it that way. But great to have you here on 3 Wide TV. Best of luck next week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the number 52 of Max Williams, and I believe that Drew Eisenman is caught up with the number 37 of Elliot Henderson, who was right in the running until right there at the end.
Well, Elliot, it's Drew Eisenman up here in the 3 Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
I do. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. That was certainly an entertaining race. You were up in the top 5 for a big portion of that race. How did that whole thing unfold out of your front windshield?
Not ideal. I would have liked for the last 20 laps to have been under green. I think Spencer had older tires there, and we could have eaten them up. But I had a crap qualifying run, started 13th. I felt like we were probably a top 5 car all day, but the track position was such a key factor, and trying to get up through the field was pretty challenging. So we just kind of waited it out and drove up there as we could, made do with pit stops and stuff. But yeah, it's frustrating when you've got probably, the 3 fastest cars chasing a guy on older tires. And I mean, Spencer's no slouch. He was a top 5 car all day as well. But we couldn't do anything and actually race it out until it came down to green, white checkers. And that's just frustrating because I felt like we would have had a nice 15, 20 lap run at the end. We could have really put on a show between me, Bransky, and RJ. I felt like we were kind of the class of the field towards the end there. Maybe Dylan Wilson as well was pretty fast. So it just sucks because I feel like we could have given you guys a much better show. But the last few restarts definitely probably provided some content for you for sure.
Yeah, we certainly weren't lacking things to talk about. We saw that the 20 kind of be on a similar strategy to the 99 until he came onto pit road and was caught up in an incident. But that just kind of speaks to the different types of tire strategies. How much does that tire limit play into your strategy decisions?
It basically impacts the whole race for us. I mean, the fuel's not really an issue, but it's just kind of picking and choosing when you want to take tires. And the biggest guess was kind of like, you know, when you wanted to come so that you could come out ahead of other people. Like there was that point where I think we had on like lap 97 or something, or 105, there was a caution. And I thought very heavily about it, but everybody stayed out in front of me. And as the race wound down and you realize that you get that many cautions, I wish I would have just done it and I would have been able to restart second or made my way back up through there when everybody pit later. But yeah, it's basically that overlapping of trying to stay ahead of people. But the biggest thing here is track position is so key. Is Spencer made it look easy with some of those shorter runs that we had. He was able to just stay ahead of RJ even on like 5 or 10 lap runs with those older tires. So it was almost like you were playing the tire game, but you were really just worried about the track position, because if you could get to the top 5, it's just really hard to try to pass people. So you could kind of maintain your gap there.
Speaking of track position on that last restart, you in the 03, a little bit of contact through 1 and 2. What was that like from your perspective?
Infuriating, because I mean I ran those guys clean all day long, especially on those last few restarts. I wasn't cutting them brakes by any means, but I wasn't pushing as hard as I could. And then that last restart, he just didn't really get a good run into 1, and I kind of sent it a little harder, and I was able to clear him off 2. He got back under me coming off of 4, and I just, it's a lot of give and take, but I understand it's the white flag. I expected him to run the middle lane there, and I could just use the third lane. But he got a little loose because he entered a little hard and just slipped up into me. It is what it is. I think iRacing overdid the contact there. I don't feel like it should have shot me up the track like that. I probably should have still finished about 4th. But all in all, still a good day to come home top 5, and no harm, no foul against him. I mean, he was faster than me all day. I just got the edge on him on that last lap. So, it didn't kill my race. It's not a big deal, but it is kind of frustrating that it felt like I was finally able to clear him. And I felt like maybe if RJ got into Spencer, I'd have a chance to do something, but is what it is at the end of the day. And, we'll take our 5th place finish and move on.
Yeah, it almost looked like an open wheel wreck. You almost popped up on 2 wheels there for a split second. But next week, another really challenging 1 mile track in Dover. What are your thoughts going into that race?
Well, I don't like that track, if I'm being honest. It's probably one of my worst tracks. So, I think this puts us second in points based off the finishing positions. So we're just kind of going to go in there and hope to maintain. We've already got a win this year. I don't really remember how the playoffs work in this series. I know the truck series, it's like a win and you're in. So if that's the case here, we're just kind of adding up points and just seeing where we can end up. But RJ's got a bit of a stranglehold here with his dominant performances, and we're just trying to keep up and see if we can start chopping away at that points lead a little bit before the playoffs start. But Dover's just it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully it's not as caution filled as this one, because it's a very difficult track, but it's going to be high speed corners, probably double file lanes and everything, because the outside you can kind of get cranking there and pinch people down like you can here. So it should be some good action, but not one of my stronger tracks and not one of my favorite tracks. So we're going to have to put in some laps, some practice, and see how it pans out.
All right, Elliot. Well, thank you for talking with us tonight, and congratulations on your top 5.
Thank you guys for jumping in and doing this last second. I know Chris and Barkowski got you guys in here because our other one was a little busy tonight. So thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast. Thanks to Heller, Barkowski for all that they do for the league, my teammates on Split Second Esports, and appreciate all you guys coming together and making this happen tonight.
Appreciate that, Elliot.
All right, well, I am working my way up through the field. Now I'm going to jump to the man who finished right in front of Elliot Henderson, that being the number 27 of William Barbagalata. And William, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I know, whenever you jump in and you see all these names, you kind of have a scare sometimes with some of the names. But wow, finishing in the 4th position here tonight. It seemed like that number 27, you got in a lot of precarious positions right there in the middle of the race, 3 wide, going up through the middle. But when all things kind of shook out, you finished up there in the top 5. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I did not have New Hampshire until probably 15 minutes before the race started, so I had no idea how to drive it. It was really just a learning experience the entire race. So I would have been happy with a top 10, let alone a top 5. But But yeah, no, it ended up being a pretty fun race. I was slow early. I started to get the hang of it, and with some strategy, and yes, I was in a lot of bad situations, but everything worked out well. Didn't get in any wrecks like I have been the last couple of weeks, and somehow ended up fourth. So I'll take it.
Yeah, definitely an extremely strong run for you as the race continued to wear on. Like you said, you figured it out, and as pretty much as high as you were all race right there at the end of the night. So very, very impressive for you. But next week you head to Dover International Speedway, another mile racetrack. We've heard some drivers like it, some drivers hate it. I personally love it. What are your thoughts about Dover?
Yeah, no, Dover is where I got my first ever league win. It was in the trucks, so I'm not sure how it's going to translate over to the Cup car, but I definitely love it. I'm excited, and I hope to see the same success I had here at Dover next week.
Yeah, definitely a strong finish for you in that number 27 machine. Before we let you go, William, any shout-outs?
I want to thank Elliot. He was definitely helped me learn the track here. I think he finished fifth, so he definitely was a lot of the reason I finished up here. And thank you guys for broadcasting the race, and Christopher Heller and the admins for hosting.
Absolutely. Well, William, we'll talk to you later. Best of luck next week at Dover.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
All right, well, folks, that's going to do it for our fourth place interview, but I believe that third place of Jake Bransky has pitched up into the Discord here. And Drew, why don't you take it away with Jake?
Well, Jake Bransky, this is Drew Eisman up here in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy.
Oh,
Well, Jake, we saw, your race tonight. Basically, the only guy who was able to keep up with the 21 on pace during the race. How did that whole deal unfold from your perspective?
Yeah, honestly, it was my first race at New Hampshire, and I didn't expect to be that fast compared to RJ, but, it was really fun to run up with him. And just sucks that we couldn't get a green flag around at the end there.
Yeah, we saw the 99 kind of capitalize on that. I mean, this is going to be a completely unrelated question to the race, but we just have your car here on the stream right now. What's the story? It's an awesome scheme. It's my favorite scheme in the field. What's the story behind it?
Yeah, so it's just my favorite chip brand. You can buy it at Meyer, and I live in Michigan, so it's just like a local. I think it's local, but yeah, it's a chip brand. It's my favorite brand, and I actually designed the paint scheme myself. Thought it would look good, and yeah, that's basically the story.
I mean, it certainly stands out. No one can miss your car. That's
Yeah.
for sure. But on that last restart, we saw a little bit of contact between you and the 27. What kind of happened in that deal?
Basically, I just I overcooked the entry, and I got loose and ran into him. Definitely did not mean to do that, but luckily I didn't wreck him too bad, and he still got fifth. But yeah, I'm good friends with Elliot, and I did not want to do that to him.
Yeah, we talked to him earlier, and he certainly wasn't happy about it, but he also wasn't too upset as well.
Yeah, we talked about it after.
Yeah, that's certainly good. But yeah, you had a great run here at this 1 mile track, but next week a very different challenge in Dover, but kind of you look at it from a track layout perspective, it would seem to be similar. What's your thoughts going into Dover?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Monster Mile. I like Dover. I'm excited. Never raced there in this league, so I'm excited to see. Hopefully, we can run up in the front like we did at this one.
Yeah, and back to tonight, you were restarting on that inside. Those last few restarts, did you think maybe you'd have a little advantage restarting behind the leader? Ultimately you weren't able to make that work, but was that something that you were looking to take advantage of?
Yeah, I thought we would hopefully get like at least one green flag run, then we'd be able to take advantage over Spencer. But the inside surprisingly wasn't working at the end for me, and so Elliot got around me on the outside, and then but I was definitely hoping it would be better.
I mean, yeah, but third's nothing to sneeze at. You were top three all race and you finished top three. I think that's a solid result. Definitely, too shy of where you wanted to run, but it's certainly a good result. Congratulations on that. Before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout out to Ian Browning, and shout out to Nav, and then shout out to my parents and my friends and family, and shout out to hippies.
Yeah, shout out to hippies indeed. Well, thanks for talking with us, Jake, and congratulations on your third place.
Hey, thank you.
All right. Well, now we're going to see if we can dial up tonight's second place finisher, the man who led 110 laps. RJ Williams was looking for win number 3 on the season, just comes up one position short. RJ, what a run for that number 21 machine, but it just seemed like you ran out of time to get around the number 99. Tell us about it.
Laps to go, I lost all sound. So I had that issue with about 100 to go. And then around 50 to go, I lost force feedback. So I was running around handicapped there for the last 50 laps, just trying to hold on. Having no sound there on the restarts really screwed me, especially, getting going and getting through the gears. That really, fucked me pretty good. Other than that, I'm very happy Spencer won. I mean, if anybody was the one, that'd be the one I was pulling for. He pulled it off, stayed in front of me. Had I not got loose there off before that one lap, I think I would have had something for him. But I couldn't feel the car. I couldn't hear the car. I was just going all off of sight. So I held on for dear life there for the last 150 laps.
Well, yeah, that is, all things considered, extremely impressive. A lot of people say, if you lose force feedback, well, at least you can hear the car. You can kind of hear the tires when they start to yell at you, if you will, and start to get really noisy and you're starting to scrub speed. But you couldn't even have that. So really, really impressive that you didn't have those sensory things to aid you to the second place finish. So all things considered, I'm sure you're glad to walk out of tonight extending your points lead with, so far, a very, very impressive performance here in the Great Lakes Cup Series.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to bring that one home, bring the trophy home on that one. But it is what it is. For the issues that I had to finish P2, was pretty solid, so I'll take that and move on to Dover, where I feel like I'll be pretty strong again.
Yeah, and we've heard some people really like Dover, some people don't like Dover. How do you fall on that fence?
Dover is by far one of my favorite tracks. It's just something about being in the corner, carrying that much speed, and then trying to get out of the corner without losing it and keeping it going straight down the straightaway. One of my favorite tracks. Cannot wait.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fun one. Of course, won't be here on 3Y TV. We'll be over on the OSR network, the main broadcaster here for the Great Lakes Cup Series. But RJ, I know you wanted to take home the trophy, like you said, but I'm sure you still have shout outs to give out. So let's hear them.
Well, a big congratulations to Mr. Dickinson there. Hell of a drive. He's part of the Total Advantage Academy. If you're looking to gain a little bit more experience in iRacing, work on your driving style, some iRating gaining, you can check out taacademy.com and sign up for our academy. It'll help you out big time. Have quite a few cadets is what I call them right now. Windshield Deep, we're a local short track grassroots racing media content company. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitch when we do our broadcast, and on Twitter. And one wraps for the nice looking scheme there by Dylan Wilson.
All right. Well, RJ, congratulations on coming home in second here tonight. Best of luck next week at Dover.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our second place interview here tonight with the number 21 of RJ Williams. But now we're going to go down to Victory Lane where Drew Eisenman's caught up with Spencer Dickinson.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner, number 99, Spencer Dickinson. Drew Eisman up here in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, kind of improbable from my perspective. But, I mean, you held those guys off with fresher tires over and over and over again on those late race restarts. Give us a rundown of how you saw it.
Yeah, I just knew the only way I was going to have to win this race is either cautions keep coming out or RJ makes a huge mistake, which he did. Well, both happened, really. And RJ got loose under me off on the white flag, and I was gone by then.
Yeah, we saw him get really loose at it too. But I got to wonder, what was your approach on those restarts to just be able to hold those guys off repeatedly? RJ on the long run was just kind of on pace, the class of the field seemingly all night, and you just kept giving it to him on those restarts. What was your approach, your mindset? Walk us through it.
I've tried the first couple restarts. I was trying stuff, and I went early, or I went later, and that helped a lot. Then I went early, and that really messed me up. And so on the last one, I just went later, and it just did perfect.
And how was that thing driving on those old tires? Were you having problems with spinning them up on those restarts? We know that can be such a huge thing in iRacing.
No, actually, I wasn't really having a problem spinning the tires. Out of all the races, I was losing through most of it, but on the exits, I was extremely tight because I guess I was like driving in so far, and I couldn't get off the corner as good as RJ. But yeah.
Well, you're the first guy to mention being tight all night. I'm a big guy into paint schemes. We talked about to Jacob Bransky about his incredibly visible 03 paint scheme. Your Aflac scheme. Are you a big Carl Edwards fan?
Yeah, I always liked him. I always thought he was like one of their good drivers that really never had the what they should have got, respect wise. And my original number was taken, and I saw 99 there, so I just took it and chose the Carl Edwards scheme.
Always a big fan of his like black and green Aflac scheme. So certainly dig that. But next week, another 1 mile track, seemingly kind of similar, but when it comes to actual driving experience, very different. What's your mindset going into Dover?
It's a short track. So I'm really good at short tracks compared to a mile and a half. So I feel like I'll be a top 5 car. I don't know if I'll be the best car, but I might have to pull another strategy off like this.
Well, you managed to pull it off tonight. Hopefully you can repeat that next week. Thanks for talking with us. Before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
The TA Academy, Windshield Deep, Hangout Chat Motorsport, and my parents.
Well, once again, Spencer, congratulations on the win tonight. You certainly earned it, and thank you for talking with us.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, everyone, that's going to do it for our post-race interviews. Definitely was a wild and crazy night here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and I think it's about time here, Drew, that we go through the final race results with Spencer Dickinson taking home the win, RJ Williams coming home in second, Jacob Bransky, we also talked to him, coming home in third, William Barbagalata finishing there in fourth, Elliot Henderson rounding out your top 5. Luckily, we were able to talk to your entire top 5 here tonight. Dylan Wilson there coming home in sixth, with Hunter Madolenas coming home in seventh, and I know that car really shot up through the field throughout the night. Nick Martin there coming home in 8th. Frederick Cremeens coming home in 9th. And Shane Neiswanger rounding out your top 10 there, Drew.
Yeah, Eric Kempf will bring home 11th. Ashton Lawson, the 24, who had quite an eventful night. He brings it home in 12th. Scott Schuer will bring it home in 13th. Josh Cottle will bring home 14th. Christopher Heller will bring home 15th in that number 11. Matthew Daniels in the number 10 will bring home 16th. Philip Bedford did not really pan out the way we thought it would or could in that number 20 Tony Stewart-inspired scheme. He'll bring home 17th. Caleb DeSorda will bring home 18th position. Matthew Durr in 19th. And then James Shiflett will bring home P20.
And rounding out the last 11 spots or so of the field, Jacob Manning coming home 21st, Brandon Barkuski coming home in 22nd. Max Williams, our in-race reporter here for tonight's race. The Ramblin wreck from Georgia Tech 150 coming home in 23rd. Austin Moore in 24th. Chris White 25th. Nathan Nixon 26th. Jeff Johnson in 27th. What a night it was for him. Came all the way from 8 laps down to back on the lead lap to 7 laps down at the end of the race. Ty Akin in the number 28 machine. Not sure if that's Aiken or Akin. It's probably Aiken on that number 71 machine there, 28th. Gavin Fitzgerald, 29th. Lee Tankersley finishing in 30th. And rounding out the field here tonight, Shane Posey finishing 115 laps down in the 07 truck. Well, for all of us here at 3Y TV, want to give a big shout out to the Great Lakes Cup Series for bringing us on board here tonight for a one-off event. We really do appreciate it. We hope we gave them the broadcast that they were hoping for on the kind of the short notice that we had. But I'll tell you what, I thoroughly enjoyed the race. And Drew, I know you and I, up here in the booth, the one thing that we like to see is a good, enjoyable race. And we definitely got that here tonight.
Yeah, this tends to be a hit and miss track as far as the fans are concerned and what they get to view and experience. And I think tonight was a hit. I think we could classify that. It certainly didn't lack excitement late. I think a lot of drivers prefer long green runs. I think a lot of fans prefer quite a few cautions. And we certainly saw the latter. So it certainly was a spectator's race, so to speak, tonight. But I certainly had a lot of fun, and I hope the viewers did as well.
Yeah, definitely a great group of people to join in. So if you're interested in joining in, make sure you check out the Great Lakes Cup Series because definitely a very stacked field. I was looking down up and down at the drivers and their different ratings here tonight. There are some very fast drivers in this series. Before we go here on 3Y TV, want to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Sim TV, another great channel here on YouTube that allows us to use their camera package each and every week here on the channel. They really help out here. So thank you to Sim TV, and I'm sure we'll see some of you guys next week here on 3Y TV. We got Total Nonstop Racing League action on Monday night, following that up with the start of the American Sim Racing Series, Hacksaw PC's premier Cup Series. The oldest league in all of iRacing starts their 2021 season on Wednesday. Follow that up with the National Sim Racing Association Taz Racing Custom Super Speedway Series on Thursday night, and then rounding out next week's action right here on the channel, we have the Sim Box Truck Series as the National Sim Racing Association tries to close out their 2020-2021 Sim Box Truck Series with their chase. It should be a good one right here on the channel. But for myself, Peter Short, Drew Eisenman, that's it for tonight's broadcast of the Great Lakes Cup Series. Remember to stick around and check out our friends over at OSR Network next week for more action here in this series. For myself, again, Peter Short, Drew Eisenman, have a good night, and we shall see ya!